Separated by the Salish Sea, connected by the Real Graps in BC. This is the Cup Check Wrestling Podcast with Aaron Schultz and Cody Ace Trelaw.
Cup Check Wrestling, table for three this time. Aaron Schultz here, Cody Ace Trelaw. It's Cup Check Wrestling, but this time we're blessed to have a guest with us. Former two-time Vancouver Island Professional Wrestling Champion, two-time headliner of WrestleFest in Nanaimo, the biggest independent show on Vancouver Island. Probably going to have more main events and more championships to come. Matt Maverick joins the show here on Cup Check Wrestling. Matt, did I miss anything in your resume? And how's everything going in your neighborhood?
No, man, thanks for the interview. Pleasure to be here. Things are going good. I'm just on the road to recovery and just, living life. How are you guys?
Pretty good, yeah.
Go ahead, Ace. I know it's still busy
back
of the woods, but very quickly,
things have been good.
Okay, yep. Hey, how's the play still going quick? I know we usually have our usual weekend lore to kind of soft launch into whatever we're talking about, Ace, but very quick, how is the play going? I understand first week of productions underneath your belt, and you just got back from work.
That is true, yes. Yeah.
How's everything in your hood?
It's been good, yeah. No, we had our opening night on Thursday, so we ripped we've done 3 shows so far, and we've got 5 more now next week for the end of the run. So you're right, it's been busy, but it's been a lot of fun, and it's been really cool. So, things have been going
sounds
good.
Very busy. Very, very busy.
There's very few times where there's nothing going on, where it's like you're running from like one thing to the next or work to that, but it's worth it in the end because it's definitely a lot of fun. So
5 shows in a week sounds like Matt Maverick on a typical
that's an average week for our boy Matt. But, yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. That sounds like a pretty hectic schedule, but I do understand the go process where it's just seems like it never ends. So I get that, but it's also a lot of fun though, isn't it?
That's why we do it, right? So
yeah, exactly. It's for the love 100%. Of the game.
For the love of the game, and I'm happy we're able to kind of come together here because, as we kind of mentioned, it's mentioned in our intro, separated by the Salish Sea, connected by the Real Graps in BC. We always want to ensure that we put a spotlight on all the wonderful independent professional wrestling promotions in our province. Ace and I realized at one point, sometimes there's not a lot of shows in between. Sometimes they're going maybe a month or 2 without shows. And if there's not like a story that makes headlines like Advance Nevada retiring or Boom Pro Wrestling making it in Business in Vancouver magazine, maybe there's not too much we can necessarily highlight or promote. So thrilled to have Matt here for about an hour or so. So thrilled to have you here as our first guest on Cup Check Wrestling. Hopefully it'll be just as prestigious as a VIPW championship down the road. But thrilled you're here. And I guess we're going to make sure we get you on good time because you are going to be heading out in just a little bit for training. And so the last time we were able to see you in a VIPW reign, it was that dastardly Cordova Corporation that put you on the shelf at WrestleFest 2 in War Games. I think they pilmanized your knee at one point. There was so much stuff happening. Yeah. How is your knee going? How is your rehabilitation going? And trying to work your way to a return. How's everything going in your hood in terms of staying in shape and recovering your knee? And how is everything going with that?
It's been quite the road to recovery. It's been a journey. I was hurt for a really long time. I didn't really hide it, but I also kind of hid it for a while, Then obviously, WrestleFest happened. I needed surgery, so I needed to get out of the picture. And the Cordova Corporation did me in and did me dirty. I had to get surgery. I ruptured my ACL and tore my lateral meniscus. And the first couple of months were rough. Not like nothing I never experienced before, but As of late, it's been feeling pretty good. Still sore all the time, but I'm able to practically live a normal life again. I'm only able to train with people on Sundays because of my day job schedule. I'm a night shifter right now. So I try to roll, bumping a little bit, nothing too crazy. I trying to run the ropes a bit, but that's my biggest thing is pivoting right now is what I don't trust. And I think that's what it more is it's not that my body isn't getting healthy, it's more of teaching my brain to trust that my leg is okay, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But
The
yeah,
mind
I
over
mean,
matter.
yeah, 100%. It's like even like about like a month or two ago, just trying to like hop on one foot, it was like meant like physically, I think I could do it, but my brain was like, "No, you're not allowed to do that. You've been sitting on the couch for 3 months, so like, why are you trying to do something like that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, should should be like fixed, right?" So I don't know. It's good. I do yoga a lot of stretching. I go to physical rehab every 2 weeks. I wish I could go more. Um, and my doctors, they all say it's going well. So I don't have a set date to return, unfortunately. Um, I can confirm that I won't be wrestling at WrestleFest this year, which is a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
But I may be able to make an appearance to at least confirm when I will be returning. Um, I'm aiming for September for our anniversary show. I just don't have that set in stone yet. But
Yeah.
I'm I'm pretty sure that September will hopefully be when I will wrestle again. Um, and it's not that I can't. I think it's more my own personal choice. It's it was hard to wrestle hurt for 10 months. And
Yeah.
so it's been nice to let my body just sort of chill out for a little bit.
No doubt about that. And I guess that's interesting too, because I know there's a difference between being in good physical shape or being conditioned versus being in ring shape. Because you go,
Yes.
say, months without taking a bump in the ring. I think I remember reading it was John Moxley's book where he mentioned that you get used to taking so many bumps that he could take a bump in his kitchen where he was typing his book away and he was able to do that. I guess during this whole recovery, how long has it taken to get back into quote unquote ring shape? And I guess if I could put two questions in one, you were mentioning even though the Cordova Corporation put this knee injury over the edge, you mentioned that you were feeling it for a couple of months prior. I guess when talking about ring shape, Ace and I have talked about before when you're starting out, maybe it's good to get as many reps as you can. To you, what do you find is a good balance in order to like stay in ring shape, but potentially avoid injury? I guess what have you kind of discovered about your body and the body's limitations during this whole endeavor?
Yeah. Okay. So to answer the first part, I definitely am not. I'm not in ring shape anymore. That was the thing with the recovery of the surgery is it put me on the couch for 3 months, for about 4 months. So like, I was legit not able to do anything. So I would say that I'm not in ring shape right now, and now I'm in the process of getting there. So now that I'm able to move around and stuff, I just every week I just have to try to bump more. I have to try to roll more. I have to see what my limitations are when I'm in the ring. So basically, I go tonight and I will train and I'm going to roll with everybody. I'll do some bumps and then there's going to be something that they do that I think that maybe I'm not ready for, but I will probably be like, okay, let's see if I can do it. For example, just doing a regular snap bump, that's totally fine. Yeah, it hurts right now, but it has nothing to do with my legs really. But if I were to do a flip bump where I got front flip and then I got plant my feet while I'm landing on my
Yeah.
back, that's where it mentally gets in your head. Because even if I physically could do it, my leg's just not ready for that, and it kind of
Yeah.
it's hard to trick your brain into just being like it's okay. Um, and then for wrestling hurt, I originally injured my knee in September of 2024. it took me a long time to actually get an MRI. I went to the hospital like 3 times. They kept telling me that it was a sprain. Eventually, I think in February of 2025, I got an MRI. Turns out my ACL was ruptured, tearing in my meniscus. Then I cut my schedule down entirely. I talked to BJ. I had a couple bookings outside of VIPW, which unfortunately I had to back out of, which sucked because like I don't actually wrestle very much outside of VIPW. And it's not because I don't get booked. It's that I don't put myself out there. I just I don't know. It's my own choice. But I was considering trying to get out there more, and then I got hurt. So now it's kind of working my way back there. I wrestled, let's say, like 7 or 8 matches from September till WrestleFest, and then I was hurt. I was hurt that whole time. I hadn't my knee was just held together by my muscles, I guess. I had a brace, which is good. I invested in a sports brace that my work helped me cover through insurance. So it's like a legit, like good old Stone Cold Steve Austin brace, and that helped me get through a lot. What's up, baby?
I think Nala's got some takes on trying to work with some with an ACL injury.
It was probably like wrestling in general is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. The most fun, but the hardest thing. But the last 10 months of my career so far was very mentally challenging. But I have such a love for this sport that there was a plan set in place, and injuries sometimes make you have to swerve that plan, and I was very determined to stick to the set plan. I figured I could get through it, and I did. And I think we put on a good show at WrestleFest too. It was quite an event.
Hey, we were there. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear. And yeah, it was a good. I guess a swan song would be like be the end for good, which it's not the end for good for me, but like for now, that was a good song for myself is what I felt.
Like in the worst, if you had to, that to say that was where,
the story that we told, it worked. Like I said, I tried to hide the injury for a while, but eventually, obviously, you can't hide something like that, and we worked it into the story, and it was. I couldn't have really asked for anything better. Other than not being hurt.
Of course.
Go ahead, Ace.
Yeah, I was gonna say, getting back to what you had mentioned a little bit earlier, on the mind kind of component of it, it's almost interesting in that it reminds me of the term the self-fulfilling prophecy, almost, where you tell yourself, like, I need to rest, so you don't do it, and then because you don't do it, you can't do it. So in a way, it's almost you get too much in your head telling yourself like, no, this isn't something that I'm able to do right now. So you almost don't give yourself permission to try it because you're worried too. So it's a tough cycle to be in.
100%. And like going through surgery and then getting it fixed, and then now just being like, well, fuck, am I just gonna? Oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but
we're allowed to swear.
Okay, it's like, am I just gonna blow my knee out again? It's like, and that's like second guessing myself. But I had a professional surgeon fix my leg, and as long as I'm doing the rehab and I'm doing the exercises to make sure that it's strong, and then, some people like to return from injuries sooner than they should, and I have all the respect in the world to that. But I'm just in no rush. I miss it. Corey, you were at the Vance Nevada show, the last one.
Yes. Yeah.
We had so many people at that show. That building was packed, and I was like, damn, I wish I was wrestling in front of this crowd. Like, it was crazy.
I've been noticing that, especially in Nanaimo, where like barns are just packed, which is awesome to see. But I imagine, for you, it's obviously got to be a bit bittersweet because it's great to see it growing, but at the same time,
I wish I was performing in front of those people. But on the other hand, I've been able to help BJ, take a little bit of weight off his shoulders and make sure that the show runs smoothly. And I'm not like super knowledgeable about it all yet, but he's given me the platform to learn more about how the business works from the inside, which
Right.
has been really interesting and really cool. And then it just gives him another set of hands so that he can focus on, like, he's still wrestling. Like, he just came back from shoulder surgery. So now he's
Right. Yeah.
wrestling again. So he needs people that he can rely on so that he can do his match and focus on putting on a good show without having to stress out about the lights or the
Yeah.
music or the that the barricades and the fans are safe and all that, right? So that's been cool to sit back and then, see how he wants the show to go on and then be kind of like a foreman, I guess. Like, be like a supervisor, try to make sure that the crew is on task. Because like wrestling is it's just another job. It's so much fun and it is like a really cool thing, but like we get to these venues at noon sometimes and then we are there till midnight. Like it's a 12-hour
Yeah.
day, right? And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
I was gonna ask quick, so like first of all, like getting there at noon and then leaving at like midnight, like I think recently I just organized my work's holiday party. That was a chore. I can't imagine just doing that like noon to midnight schedule over and over. But I want to ask you, like, will because like knowing about like how much responsibilities and trust you get with VIPW and your fandom, want to get back to that. But I remember one story. It was the first WrestleFest. I think you had just successfully won your second VIPW championship. You were going around for pictures and autographs, and I think I overheard you saying, "Yeah, no, we're supposed to leave the Frank Prain Arena. Like, we're supposed to start taking this down, this whole set down, like minutes or hours ago. We need to hurry this up." Even like trying to follow like the venue's rules or whichever building you're running in to make sure that you're out in a good time. Like, is it like during your backstage experience, like trying to make sure that the crew is on time, et cetera, et cetera? Has
Yeah.
that gotten stressful trying to like manage all these different kinds of people and then trying to respect the venue's rules and get out a good time?
Oh, many a times, and like BJ would know way better than I would, but just from what I've experienced, and like WrestleFest one is probably the biggest example is that we had to be out of there at 11, and we weren't, and that costs money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we still got out of there in decent time, but that is how it is. It's like we set up the show, we put on the show for everybody. We hope that the fans are happy, but then like the moment that final bell rings, it's basically it's teardown, and then we got to get all that put back into the trailers. We got to get out of the venues, and you know, as timely and as quickly as possible. And like, yes, me and Dre got to main event the first WrestleFest, and I'm so blessed and could not have asked for uh, a better opportunity. Uh, but I'm still new to this business, right? I still, even though I was the main event, I became a two-time champion. I'm very proud of that, but I still need to, go get my gear off as soon as possible, shake hands and, tell everybody we did a good show while we're still putting everything away, like as quickly as possible. You do get that little bit of a window because yes, you just wrestled, so take an extra 15 minutes, half hour to kind of breathe and get comfortable, but it's right back to work.
Well, it's an interesting relationship there too, as somebody who is learning a bit more of kind of like the operation side of it too, where you see all those moving parts. And I think for a lot of fans definitely, but even for certain wrestlers, right, you get in your kind of bubble of what you're doing, but then once you're in it, it's like you see like everything. Like you had mentioned even, BJ worrying about the lights or, are the wires connected for the music or, like there's so many different pieces you gotta keep an eye on that it's it can be overwhelming. So
Oh,
and that's
100%.
kind of something you can only appreciate once you're in it and you actually see the innings of it, right?
No, 100%. And then even you doing a play, right? Like it's very much
Yeah, oh yeah,
pro wrestling is just a ginormous stunt show
yeah.
play. Like it's crazy, just like the production that goes into it. If you want it to look the way that VIPW makes it look,
Yeah.
like BJ takes so much pride, and his pride rubs off on a lot of us on like making our product look professional. Like I can confidently say that from when I started with VIPW, especially from like way before I started, from when they started to where we are now, like we're basically like a TV production almost. Like
It's
just
crazy now.
if you go
It's
look at
nuts now.
our YouTube and stuff, like the audio quality, the lights, the mats that we have on the ground, and then our barricades. Like it looks like you're at an old WWE house show.
Yeah.
I remember
Not to
because
toot
the
our own
YouTube.
horn a little bit.
Oh no, toot toot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that YouTube page because like I remember like say WrestleFest one and two especially one like my dad for example he watched it on Shaw and then he or maybe watched on YouTube afterwards. But even if you're going back to see. You know, when you beat Draco and became a two-time VIPW champion by escaping the cage, you can still see that show in pretty good quality. And like not a lot of other independent promotions, say with a bigger crowd or in a bigger city, has that production value. And even walking into the Frank Crane Arena that first time and just seeing how much lights were used, the stage with all the screens as the jumbotron, and then putting together a stage, it's just bananas to see. And I guess as a talent, do you feel like when you see that production level behind you, like it feels like you want to put on even bigger show or yeah, I guess like do you feel like you have to take it up a notch when there's
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, when there's more money being thrown behind you to try and put on a better show and to make sure that the fans feel like they are seeing something a little bit more special, I suppose.
I would say yes, 100%. And I'll also go back to saying how while I have been booked by other companies, that I haven't always gone out of my way to go work for other companies. But that being said, when it comes to VIPW, I have always gave it my all. Like since I was a kid, I've wanted to be a professional wrestler, and then I have so much respect for so many people that I've got to work with in this business so far because they dedicate their lives to this, and I don't
Yeah.
quite dedicate that much. But when push comes to shove and we're in that ring, I'm gonna do everything I can to put on a wrestling match, the way that I want to see a wrestling match. As a fan, I want my matches. If I were to watch it as a fan, I want to enjoy it as if I would watch any other professional. So yes,
Totally.
when the money is behind you and you have a production, and I'm given a platform that BJ and Cody and Rhea at one time have given me, uh, then yes, they're putting their trust in me because they believe in me. Something Scotty Mack told me a long time ago when I first met him was that if other people believe in you, then you have to believe in yourself, and you just got to go out there and you just got to do it. And
I like
yeah,
that. That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Very
I was even
quick
thinking
question.
on the oh sorry, I was even thinking on the growth where, even to look at like where VIPW started. Like I remember going to the first show with my dad, I want to say like 2014, 13, 14, when
I
they were
think
still
it's
doing Departure
2014.
Bay.
There might
Yeah,
have been
like and to
forgotten
see
about
the growth from there to now, yeah, right. Yeah. But to see the growth from, in I don't even know if the building's still there anymore, but the old Departure Bay Center
and unfortunately
to like
burned
the
down.
houses now. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
burned down. It burned down
Wow.
shortly before I started training or shortly after.
Of
I can't quite remember, but that was a bittersweet moment. I remember
course,
talking
yeah.
to BJ and Cody about that because I was like, that was their home base for a long time. It was a smaller
Yeah,
venue,
yeah.
but it felt special, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the growth is crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you see some of the like the photos from the houses that you guys do, and it's nuts. Like it's wild.
No, I think, and we just want to keep growing, right? Like if more people are showing up, then we're doing something right. And I do think that we do our best to put on a quality wrestling show. And it's not just like going out there and having good matches. It's the storytelling. We try to actually tell stories as if, you know, we are the WWE or AEW, right? Like we don't want to just have throwaway matches. We want to have something that will grab the people and make sure that they come back to the next show. And that's been what the most fun thing is like actually being able to like, okay, so why are we doing this? Why am I having this match with this person? And like, even if it is a one-time match, what can we do with this one-time match to at least tell a story? That's the best part about wrestling is we're storytellers.
It's the beauty of pro wrestling compared to like any other kind of live performance, or there's something special. I mean, obviously we could sit here all day and talk about it. We're all massive wrestling fans, but just I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to describe to somebody who's not in it. You know, I've tried in the past, obviously. I'm sure we all have, but
You've succeeded in some parts.
And sometimes, yes. But you know, there's a certain magic. I don't know how to, it's ineffable. I don't know how to like pin it down, but there's just something about it that's just so, yeah, I know what you mean.
I tell a lot of people that it's every form of entertainment meshed into one chaotic event. Like it's comedy, it's action, it's drama, it's like
political commentary sometimes, right? Like
it's everything. It's crazy.
Yeah. Just to expand on that, Matt, a little bit, just about fandom, because to kick off this podcast, Ace and I, we basically ramble on about what got us into wrestling, what made us a fan, what keeps us as fans. And for you, you took that an extra level to become a pro wrestler, and you mentioned you always wanted to be a wrestler since you were a kid. I feel like this might have to be at least one question we'll have to ask every single guest who comes on the podcast, but what did get you into wrestling, and what kind of kept you to be a fan? Because it can be cyclical, but then there's folks like us who are lifers, whether we like it or not. But yeah, what got into wrestling?
That's
what
me. Okay, well, I watched it for as long as I can remember, but I didn't watch it religiously until my friend Spike hosted WrestleMania 22. And that pay-per-view, there's so many moments in that pay-per-view. I think it's very underrated. It doesn't get talked about enough. From Rey Mysterio winning his first world title in honor of Eddie, to that amazing Edge and Mick Foley hardcore match, to HBK elbow dropping Vince McMahon from the top of a fucking whatever it was, 20-foot ladder or something like that, like garbage can on McMahon and stuff, like through the table. It was crazy. Whatever else happened, RVD winning Money in the Bank.
Right.
You know, the start of the hate for John Cena, even though he is the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like that was when they started to turn on him. When everybody hated Triple H for so long, but they just wanted Triple H to beat Cena so bad in that main event.
I don't even know if it was Triple H. It was just anybody at that point. It was just somebody.
But that's what I mean. Like people hated Triple H so much, but then they wanted Cena to lose so bad that they wanted the Reign of Terror back all of a sudden. It was like,
which is wild.
It's like homies. We just had like 4 years of like Triple H before that. We don't want that. So that's what made me fall in love with it, and it really just was no going back. I've fallen off a lot, like for watching it throughout the years, but I was always on Reddit or online and watching highlights. Even since I became a wrestler, I will admit that I probably watch way less than I ever have, but there's also just so much wrestling now. But I still know everything that's going on. I wouldn't say everything, but like I know a lot of what's going on. It's the glories of the internet. But I mean, I used to wrestle in your backyard, Aaron. Me and your brother used to beat the crap out of each other, and you were our referee. Like that ever since I was like in late elementary school and early high school, I just wanted to do this.
You guys clearly didn't heed that. Don't try this at home. I take it.
No,
I think there's a lot of backyarders in this world.
That was a bananas time. I remember. I'd be the cameraman. I'd be the referee. would ever want to actually be in the ring or on the trampoline in this case, because you and my brother had your growth spurt ahead of me. And then by the time I had mine, I still like maybe 20, 30, 40 pounds lighter. And then by the time maybe I could have been good, everyone's bodies were already feeling it like, okay, now maybe we don't need to go through tables. Maybe we don't need to be hitting each other with chairs. I think my brother still has a scar in the back of his head
Yes,
to
he
this
does.
day because he took a chair shot to the head. However, Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't the flat surface; it was the other end, like where the edge of the chair would be at the end of a folding chair.
Yeah.
Went around his head, and he still has. I remember
our buddy hit him in a non-safe manner, obviously, because we're backyarders. And
it was an outlaw mud show.
busted his head open good. Luckily there wasn't too much of that. I mean, I never learned my lesson, because eventually when I'm on Facebook and I see that VIPW is starting up a school, I was the only crazy fucker to decide to do it. And I tried to get a lot of the other guys to join me, but even to this day, I don't think I'll ever get your brother to get in there with me.
I think
I can
there's
only imagine what your mom had to say after that. Oh, I can just hear Leslie right now. Just
I think she was okay with it somehow, some way. I don't know, because like, look at my
really
brother. Like, he was good for like, well, first of all, after he got the chair shot, he was like, "Do we get that on tape? Do we get that on tape?" And they had to take a photo of himself.
He
with
100%
blood.
would. I'm not surprised in the slightest to hear that.
Had to get the money's worth, but then I think he was the one who's like, okay, no, I should go to the hospital to get stitches. So he was responsible. Like, I'll give him credit. And Matt, I'm not sure if any of these skills he learned in backyard trampoline wrestling like translate to VIPW at all. But like, I remember at first when we were filming these segments for his YouTube channel, it'd just be one clip, almost like a cinematic match you'd see like on WWE, where it's like multiple shots, multiple takes.
I definitely remember that.
Eventually, it felt like you guys were just calling in the ring. I'm not sure if that was you or Bronnon, but was that just like you calling in the ring at some point just on trampoline?
So we used to do takes. We would have spots planned out, and we would do a bunch of takes. And I always wanted to just do matches, and Bronnon thought that it would look bad. And at the time, it probably would have. And eventually, we had like this big multi-man thing, and it was an elimination, and we were both out of it. And then our two other friends, they just wrestled. They just started calling stuff, and that was it. Sean and Jason had a fun little 5-minute moment, and I was like, that's what we gotta do from now on. Like, especially, there was no people or anything. We were just wrestling for ourselves. He would always have audio over top of it, so it didn't matter if we were talking to each other. And yeah, I think I do. I'm a firm believer that the reason I understand wrestling so well, and that I took to it so naturally while training with BJ and stuff, was because I was a backyarder.
There's definitely a certain rhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Wrestling is weird because not everybody can do it, but I'm a firm believer that everybody could try it, and then people that you think wouldn't be able to do it could probably do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very weird thing. You have to have a love for it, like we do. Like, even if you guys were to never step in the ring, you have that love for wrestling. You understand wrestling. And if you have that understanding for it, and then you're willing to beat the shit out of your body, you could probably be a wrestler. Like, it just takes a lot of time and dedication, and to actually learn how to do it safely. Because
100%, yeah.
Being a backyarder, that's where there's a lot of stuff that we didn't do safely. There's a lot of stuff I learned now how to do properly, that it's like, there's no way that we were doing things properly, considering we were doing things on a trampoline or whatever. There was no real risk, in a sense.
But when you're that age too, you're invincible, right? You don't you don't think long term, right? So
your body just springs back from nothing, basically.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I want to ask you a little bit about, like, you talked that you saw VIPW is having the school. He wanted to give that a go. Maybe you can talk a little bit more just about how training went for you. But when folks will say, wrestling's fake, sometimes I think there's the perception that just because it's predetermined doesn't mean that it still hurts while it's predetermined. And one of the examples I've seen given, like, I remember, I think it was Edge, Adam Copeland, now in AEW, talking about his book or an interview, that you learn if you're going to be a wrestler after taking your first bump in the ring. It's either do you have the instinct to keep going or do you just shut down? Can you explain what was it like taking your first bump in an honest to God ring? And I guess explain it for the folks who may not touch a ring in their lifetime.
I mean, yeah, you said it pretty much, hitting the nail on the head there. Is like, you take a bump in that ring and you know right away is like, if you want to do that, it doesn't feel good. Wrestling hurts. Yes, it's a predetermined show. I don't know, like, we don't hide it nowadays. Maybe I'll get in shit for saying that, but whatever.
This is Cup Check Unreal, season 1.
I don't think this is the type of podcast that you guys do. You talk about the real side of wrestling. So it doesn't feel good. It hurts. My knee. The reason I had surgery was because of wrestling. It wasn't anything crazy that happened in the ring. It was just a misstep and my knee blew up. But like, the injuries are real. The pain is real. There's just safe ways to make it not be permanent injuries. But yeah, that first bump, I don't even want to say it sucked. Like, I just knew right away that I wanted to do it. I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't as, that was great. Let's do this. To
There's a
be
certain
honest,
adrenaline with it too, right? Yeah.
like I said a couple minutes ago that like I took to wrestling naturally. I think putting a match together and like the flow of a match is kind of what I take naturally. I understand it, but the actual like physical side of wrestling, like I didn't know how to roll. Like, I've been blessed to get given the spot because I put in the work to get better. Like, the first time I ever tried to roll in the ring, and if any of my wrestling colleagues listen to this, they'll laugh at it because like I did a shoulder roll and I basically did a flip bump without knowing how to do a bump because I just didn't know how to control my body. All right. So you try to roll and you're supposed to do like a somersault and it's supposed to be like soft and comfortable. You just spring up to your feet, but I just like threw my body as hard as I could into the mat basically. And I just remember BJ just wide eyed looking at me and just kind of chuckled a little bit and was like, hey, we got to work on that.
Oh, it's incredible. So I guess you're going through the training. I mean, all the bumps and the rolls and everything with it. Yeah. And so you kind of mentioned like your career's been rather brief so far. You've accomplished quite a bit with VIPW despite not working, say, like 10 plus years or anything so far, but it seems already you've kind of been trusted with a lot in terms of headline shows, wrestling someone like an El Phantasmo who's made it onto AEW TV and is a staple in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I guess for anyone who's thinking of wrestling, I guess, how do you kind of earn that trust? Is it just through wrestling or your work outside of the ring? How does that all come to be, I suppose?
Okay, so this one is very important. You could be the worst wrestler in a group of people, and you could be the best wrestler in a group of people. But if that worst wrestler shows up every single day, is trying to get better, they're early, they're the last one to leave, they set up with teardown, or they set up, they tear down, they make an effort, then you're going to be rewarded. Like, you need to show up. You can't just think, oh, I'm a wrestler, I'm just going to go there and wrestle. You need to always be trying to get better, and you need to bring a good attitude. Like, I'm a pretty quiet person. I keep to myself for the most part. Wrestling has really brought me out of my shell. BJ has helped me learn that I'm a leader. All of a sudden, that I'm in a locker room where half maybe not half, but like, there's a lot of like trainees nowadays that, and like to all these trainees, I'm like the locker room leader to them. Whereas like, Cremator and BJ and then the Scotty Max, they come in and they're my locker room leaders and I look up to them.
Of
But then,
course, yeah. Mm.
and like all the greenhorns also look up to them, but then they look at me because they wonder the same thing. Well, why did you get given all these opportunities? And that's because I showed up. Up until recently with the injury and stuff, I've been a little bit less. I've been trying to work on that as I'm healing, but like my initial couple of years of training, I was there 3 days a week that we trained every week, no matter what. I was always there putting in the work. And then if BJ needed me outside of wrestling because, oh, hey, he got a deal on some chairs, but they're in Port Alberni and we got to go fill up a trailer full of chairs, I was the guy that was there to help him do it. And then,
Yeah.
I'm a welder and we need to modify the ring or do some repairs on the ring, and that would be me and Garth Wayne. Garth is also a welder, and we would be there to help him do that type of stuff. And we don't expect anything in return. It's just more it's going to better our product. And BJ has done a lot for us, and like he's somebody that will be there for you no matter what, as long as you're there for him as well, no matter what. It's a give and give type of situation, which can be a little bit of a slippery slope sometimes because sometimes he still is the boss, but for the most part, he will treat you very well as long as you put in the work and earn it. Wrestling is a big respect thing, and you shake everybody's hands. You want to show a good attitude, and wrestling's also a big ego thing. And don't let your ego get the best of you. Everybody needs a little bit of an ego. We're characters. We play these over the top
Of course.
superheroes and villains, but in the end, remember that we're playing those over the top superheroes and villains. That in the end, we all sit on the toilet and we all shit the same. You know what I mean?
We all shit the same. Matt Maverick gonna put down a live, laugh, love sign on my kitchen.
We'll be on it.
You had mentioned too earlier, with your day job, one thing or rather night job, one thing I was interested in is kind of walk us through your process after the injury, because I imagine, you're not working as well if you said about 3 months where you were stuck on the couch there. How are you doing with that? Kind of what got you through? Was there like a light at the end of the tunnel? What kind of kept you moving
Uh,
forward there?
so my company, everybody has grips with their work environment. You have good days and bad days, but since day one, when I told everybody from friends to family to my work colleagues that I was going to be a wrestler, a lot of people thought it was cool, but chuckled a little bit at first. And then 4 years later, what I've done, like I went from I'm training to be a wrestler to now I am a wrestler. They like My company has supported me from the very beginning, and it has been very cool. And a big part of that was that I told them that like I'm gonna do this, but like I'm still gonna show up to work. I'm still gonna be at work. Uh, you know, and my boss at the time, he trusted me with that. He thought, he was like, "Hey, this is very cool, but like obviously it doesn't feel good and it hurts. So don't be missing a bunch of work because you're out playing wrestler, right?" And I didn't. I just showed up to work all the time, whether I was beat up or not. And eventually, when I hurt myself, that was a bit of a game changer because then I was limited. So before I got surgery, and then when I got the MRI and I learned that it was worse than we thought it was, I very much had to, you know, hey, I'm not taking time off. I'm still gonna be here, Monday to Friday or whatever. Um, but there's gonna be some things that I can't do, but there's a lot of stuff I still can do. So what can I do in the shop to keep production going? But what are you guys okay that there are things that I'm not able to do? And I was just very blessed that they worked with me on that. And then when it came to the surgery, at that point I had to take the time off, right? I gave them a bunch of notice. I had the surgery. I had to go on medical EI for a handful of months. I was on technically still on light duty, but 3 months ago, or middle of December, is when I went back to my day job, and
Nice.
I worked a few weeks of short shifts, and then each week the shifts got longer and longer until I was back on full time, and now I'm basically just back to my regular gig. Not much is different. My foreman still works with me and asks me how I'm doing all the time, and are you able to do this? Are you able to do that? And I'm like, okay, well, I shouldn't be doing this, but I can do it. Just it might take me a bit longer as long as you guys are okay with that. And like I said, I'm very blessed that they worked with me on the injury journey.
Yeah, that support is everything. Even when you mention, first kind of going to talk to people about it and say, hey, I think this is something I really need to do. 'Cause it's very easy, if you go to people and say that, where, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, it's really easy where sometimes negative opinions can kind of stop you from doing things like that. So having that support system is awesome. It's good, and I'm glad to hear you did.
Yeah, that's been a huge thing with the whole wrestling journey so far was the support I had from everybody. Like, yeah, at first there was a bit of chuckles, like I said, and I don't think people really realized how serious I was about it.
Yeah,
That I wasn't just trying it. I was like, if I'm gonna pay, because like training costs money. So
of
if
course.
I was gonna pay to be, to learn how to do this, something that I want to do forever, then I'm gonna prove to everybody that I could freaking do it. Like I knew in my gut from a very long time, and I think Aaron, it comes from wrestling, Brawnin in your backyard, that I knew I could be a wrestler. I just had this feeling, and to have my family not just shut that down, and like I kind of knew my friends would all believe in me because we've all watched wrestling forever, but to have my family be like, well, are you sure you want to do this? And then to have the support that I've had, like to have my dad be at almost every show that I've ever been at, to have him be willing to get beat up in front of me,
I
to
was
to
gonna want to ask.
to further my career is it's wild. It's insane.
I want to ask you about that one because you're mentioning the supportive family, and I think your dad might be, if he's not the most supportive, might be one of the most supportive because on that build to WrestleFest one with you and Draco in the steel cage match for the VIPW championship, I was stunned from afar because I'm living in Kamloops at this point. I couldn't attend any of the shows leading up to it, but I was stunned to see the clips emerge of your dad taking honest to God bumps and you being hit with like your graduation photo. And then it ultimately, I think Ace and I joked that you're like, it was the same year Cody Rhodes finished his story. And we said, you won the championship for your dad and that you finished your story. So, how the fuck do you pitch to your dad? Hey, do you want to get beat up for this build to this show? How did that come to be? To be a fly on the wall for that. Like, but how did you pitch that to Papa Maverick?
Okay, so first off, to toot our own horns a little bit, I think that was one of the coolest segments that we've done. And VIPW has done a handful of cool segments. But I think that was one of I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever done. Like the cage match was great and all, but that match with Dre is one of my favorite matches me and Dre have had. We have very good chemistry. But then just the whole ending of that show, just to set up WrestleFest was, I couldn't ask for anything better. Oddly enough, months prior to this, when did it's gonna be a bit of a wish-washy long story. So when BJ first pitched WrestleFest, we were training, I think the year maybe November, December before the first WrestleFest. So like 6 months. We were at training and he was like, my dream is to do an arena show. Like do you think we could do it in 5 years? And I was like, I think we could do it in 2 years. Like, I'm pretty confident we could. And then he is a crazy motherfucker, and he turned 5 years from my 2 years into 6 months, and we did WrestleFest. He basically just showed up the next week and was like, "Yeah, I booked Frank Crane Arena. We got 6 months to make this happen." And
To
he,
try and sell it.
oh, he's good at what he does, man. He gets an idea and he knows how to make stuff happen, and I have so much admiration and respect for that. And then for my dad, obviously we do that in November, December, so that means Christmas is coming up. I go visit the family and stuff like that, and my dad has a gathering and all that, and we're shooting the shit. And he was already beaking off the Cordova Corporation all the time and getting in Ty Cordova's face. And I love my dad to death, but he's a bit of he's a bit of a character. He likes the attention. Obviously, I get that showman side from him. And he was like, "What? How would you feel about me doing something with you one day?" His idea was like a tag match or something. And I was like, it's not as easy just to get in there and wrestle as you think, pops. But maybe something could come about down the road. But like, I don't want to promise you anything. And then I swear, like within the week or two, BJ tells me, this was during my first title reign. BJ tells me, "Yeah, here's our plan from now until WrestleFest. You're gonna be working towards you and Draco in a steel cage, where you're gonna get the belt back." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is weird because my dad a week or two ago was like, 'Hey, how would you feel about me getting involved somehow?'" And I was like, "If he's okay with it, and if you're okay with it, BJ, what if Dre and the Cordova Corporation just beat the crap out of my dad in front of me?" And then the rest is history. We slowly put it together. It escalated more. It wasn't supposed to be as crazy as it was, but it ended up being pretty awesome, I think.
I love the idea of your dad booking himself into a tag match. Just be
Right?
like, yeah, I could probably hop in, like
That's what I mean. Like, so
show me to run the ropes a couple times. Like, we'll be good.
my brother and my dad are they're not like professional musicians or anything, but I grew up with a lot of live music in my life. So, and I never did any type of music, and so I was always watching them perform and do shows and stuff. And I was like, it's in my blood. There's some sort of performance thing in there, and obviously wrestling was my thing. So that's why is like he just loves the stage, whether it be a music stage or wrestling. He understands why I love it now so much. So yeah, I do think it's funny that he tried to get himself to wrestle a match without really understanding that. Like, you're not just gonna be able to get in there and wrestle a match.
Gotta respect the hustle, though. Yeah.
We're gonna win the belts, dude.
Nobody hustles more than my father.
So I don't know. I'm gonna try and find a way to ask this without sounding rude or demeaning to wrestlers, but the term carny is used quite a bit. Like, you're still trying to sell a show, being a wrestler, and then learn some showmanship abilities from your dad. What would you say would be the most aggressive go-getter kind of move that you ever had to do as a wrestler, in terms of selling in a match, or maybe you're at the merch table or trying to sell tickets to the show you're going? Do you have any of those fun stories where it's like, I was technically slimy there?
Honestly, I wish I had something juicy for you, but I really don't, just because like for between you guys and like like your brother and my group of friends, like I was very blessed just because selling tickets was easy. Like like I have this big group of people that want to come watch me get beat up. Like, hey guys, watch me get beat up. Eventually, help from them. I do, I think I connected with the audience very well, and I eventually didn't need my dad there all the time, and I didn't need Bronnon and the crew there. But I'd be a fool to say that it didn't help with my journey to get to where I was, uh,
Of course, yeah.
because I started getting reactions. I think being the white meat baby face with the cartoons tattooed all over me really gravitates towards the kids and stuff too. It's very easy to be personable that way, but having at least a row or two of people automatically cheering for you instantly, I guess that would be where my carny side comes in. I was selling a lot of tickets personally.
Fair play. And I guess the tattoos and everything, like you love your like your cartoons and like your pop culture. You've implemented some Spider-Man into your merch. You've implemented like Power Rangers, like famously with the Green Ranger. I guess where's the inspiration come to try and incorporate those aspects into your wrestling character? And you haven't gotten any copyright strikes or any notices like that yet, hey?
I have not. As long as things are a little bit different and we're not quite using, if you look at Johnny Gargano, for example, like so many of his takeover gears were inspired by Marvel and stuff like that. So as long as it's an inspiration but not a 100% ripoff, is how you can get away with it. I also
I was
think
going to
that.
mention too, I see Spider-Man on the lamp there behind you as well.
Oh yeah,
When you had mentioned it, yeah.
yeah, there he is.
Right on.
I got some Batman thing or whatever too.
Oh, there you go.
Um, a lot of that inspiration though came from like the video games growing up. I spent more time on those video games creating my wrestler before I became a wrestler, and then more so once I became a wrestler, creating gear and creating not necessarily logos and stuff, but like in like the later games, how you could go online and you could go find images that people would upload and stuff like that, and I would find like cool Batman logos, and I would be like, okay, well, this is a sweet Batman logo that would fit perfectly on the side of your leg or whatever, and then I would use the other stuff that they have in the game to make cool gear designs, and I was like, well, that's how I'm gonna approach my actual wrestling career. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but people have gimmicks in wrestling. We play these crazy characters, but some of the best characters and like wrestlers are ones that are just you turned up, and that's all Matt Maverick is me. Unless I become a heel one day, I guess, and then I'll have to figure out
Cross that
something.
bridge when we get there.
To figure out something a little different. But really, just the white meat babyface do-gooder is who I try to be on a regular basis. But obviously, nobody's perfect. So with the wrestler version of that, I just turn it up. And then with the superheroes and stuff, I don't know. I just think it's cool. It's just fun to have that colorful, flashy gear inspired by some of the things that I grew up loving. Like my Green Ranger gear is some of my favorite like gear that I have, because I loved the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers growing up, and specifically the Green Ranger. Starting off as the bad guy, turning into the good guy was just really cool to me. I have a couple things up my sleeve for when I return. I don't have the ball rolling totally yet, but I have a couple new logos that I worked on, and I did work on some gear that hopefully I'll be able to get made before I come back. So I'm excited for that.
Amen to that. We got you for a couple more minutes. You do need to eventually get through the training, so I think we may have.
I don't even know what time it is. I'm just
Oh,
talking.
we got take it going behind the curtains here on Cup Check Unreal Season 1. We got 8 minutes until 6 o'clock here, so I do know you got to
Perfect.
get out. So maybe one or two more questions here. So you mentioned you got some things in the works before you return, like with logos and designs, hopefully aiming for a September return somewhere around that time. So you mentioned you've been touring up and down the island with a VIPW a lot. You've had a chance to get booked elsewhere, but your focus hasn't really been there. So when you come back, and if your knee is good to go, what's next? You've gotten 2 championships under your belt. You've headlined 2 WrestleFests, 2 of the biggest independent shows on Vancouver Island. What are you hoping to? Where are you hoping to take your career once you're able to come back? Is it just maybe focusing on VIPW, touring across the province, touring across the country, maybe trying to get on TV one of these days? Where would you like to see your career take you once you get back?
So I will always be dedicated to VIPW, and I will do everything I can to be at every show and be on every show as long as BJ wants me. But yeah, I would love to at least get out there again. Maybe go and work for uh, Apex Wrestling, Boom, NEW. I would still love to work for 365 a little bit more just because there's so many of those guys here on the island that I really get along with and that I haven't got to work yet. There's a lot of people that I haven't got to wrestle that I would love to wrestle. My main thing is I just want to have good matches again. It's not that I was having bad matches while I was hurt. It's just that I was very limited and I was working around the injury and I wasn't enjoying myself as much as I was the 3 years prior to that. And I really want to have fun again and to wrestle to the level and degree that I think is right. Ironically enough, like AJ Styles just retired and he retired on his own choosing because he thought that he wasn't able to perform at the level that he held himself to. And then obviously, hopefully, I'm very far away from retiring, but I was not able to perform at the level that I hold myself to for the last 10 months of my career. So my goal is to come back and be able to have one of the best matches on the show every show because that was my goal prior to that. And maybe I didn't hit it every time, but I did hit it a lot of times.
Ace, you got I think I got one more question for Matt quick, but do you have anything you want to quickly ask before we eventually put a bow on this?
Yeah, one thing actually I was hoping to close with for you is mainly for the people who might not have come out to VIPW, who might be interested in seeing a show. What would you say sets them apart versus other promotions that we've seen throughout the years in Nanaimo? Um, competition that we might have here too. What do you think for you is one of the reasons why you fly the VIPW flag so high?
It's our production. We do everything that we can to put on a clean, well put together, structured professional wrestling show. That like almost everything, if not everything we do, that there is a reason behind it. Like from our lights to our, the barricades and we have so much tarp and drape now that we can just build an entranceway at any venue. And now we have like a projector and we can have the match card up for every match that comes out. Our presentation is just it's so much different than a lot of other independent wrestling promotions. And that being said, I do think that a lot of other independent shows are starting to pick up their production. And I'm not going to say that's because of VIPW, but I think BJ would be proud to say that he is one of the first to start putting more effort into their look to look more professional. It's professional wrestling. Like we want to look legit. I want people to come in and be like, damn, what the hell? Why haven't I seen this before? And if you haven't came to a VIPW show before, if you haven't gone to a wrestling show in general, like I would love for you to come to a VIPW show, but just even if there's a wrestling show that's not VIPW, go check it out. Professional wrestling is like nothing that you've ever seen before. And anybody that says they don't like wrestling, I don't think has actually really watched wrestling.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think we should get you on to training, though. You've been very generous with your time so far, Matt. I guess we'll have more questions for you. Hopefully, this is it's the first time you've been on the Cup Check Wrestling podcast. Hopefully, it's not the last. You've been a pleasure to be shooting the breeze with here for the last hour and change. I guess before we let you go, is there any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to plug in before you continue on your journey to recovery? Any plugs or any final thoughts before we let you go?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm really proud of you both because you guys are doing something that you've wanted to do for a while, and yeah, it looks like you're both having fun doing it. And it was a pleasure to be on. And down the road, I would love to come on again and chat. You know, maybe we do something for fucking Dynasty in a month if you guys want to have a little
Hey, there you go.
powwow. Or
Hey.
we could talk about
I'm down for that.
WrestleFest. We could talk about WrestleFest 3, maybe a little bit more down the road or something. I'm
There you
into
go.
it. It's fun. I might as well plug our shows coming up March 27th and 28th. 27th in the Langford Legion and the 28th in the Nanaimo Centennial Hall. I think I've heard before. Is that your birthday, Corey, or something like that?
It is actually, yes.
Yeah,
Well, the day before, but
the day
yeah.
before. Well,
Yeah.
happy birthday. I'm sure you probably
Well,
got
thank
some
you.
plans, but if you're there, you're there. If not, I'll see you at another show soon.
That is actually
Uh,
part of the plans. So
oh,
we will
cool.
see you on the 28th. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I love to hear that. And then I think we're back in Duncan on April 25th. We're going to be at the Mellor Hall at the Couch and Exhibition. And then obviously WrestleFest 3, June 19th. We got something crazy happening as long as BJ can pull it off. And obviously, like I said before, when he puts his mind to something, it always comes into fruition. But we got this big TLC multi-promotional tag match that's in the works. And
Multi-promotional. That's new. Holy smokes.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's announced on the
Oh, okay.
WrestleFest thing. I mean, I hope it is. Hopefully, I didn't just throw something out there that I might get in trouble
Well, if
for.
it's
But
not, it should
either
be
way,
soon at the
there
very
you
least,
guys,
right?
there
Yeah,
you
I was
guys
gonna
go.
say.
Cup Check exclusive.
I'm pretty darn sure if we go to the WrestleFest page on Facebook that it is multi promotional TLC main event for it should be pretty good.
I would always go to the website, and whenever I'm doing my plugs, usually for all the shows going across the province, I'm not sure if I saw multi-promotional, but that could just be my poor reading comprehension skills burying the lead there. But
It might be different on our website than it is on the Facebook page as well. But I mean, like I said, maybe I'll get in trouble for saying that. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Either way,
Cross that
yeah.
bridge when we get there.
Exactly. I'm sure I'll be forgiven as long as he makes it happen.
What do
Which
they always say? It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right?
exactly. And like I said, when he puts his mind to something, he usually makes it happen. And hopefully you guys can vouch for me. But from the last two WrestleFest shows, I think we've hit it out of the park. So
Oh yeah.
I'll attest to that too. And go ahead there, Matt.
hopefully WrestleFest 3 is just as big as WrestleFest 1 and 2, and I'm going to be sad to not be performing on it, but again, I will be there and enjoying it just with the rest of all you guys.
Oh yeah.
Cannot wait. And we can't wait to see you compete at WrestleFest 4 down the road if that
There you go.
he holds up.
Let's aim for the main event 3-time.
There we go. Maybe you could be like your dad and just like find a way to get involved in the main event somehow, just negotiate your way into that.
Somehow. Yeah, we'll see.
Still
all
be
right,
edible.
gents.
Yep. All right. Matt Maverick, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the show, Matt. Until next time, hope the knee heals up and we'll talk to you down the road.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good one,
Take it
boys.
easy.
You too. Matt Maverick, everyone, former two-time VIPW champion, two-time headliner of WrestleFest. Ace, what a great chat that was. Like, I mean, more than generous with his time. Plenty of good stuff to dive in from the beginning of his career to make it all the way to the main event of WrestleFest and WrestleFest 1 and 2. I guess from there, he kind of was able to plug a little bit of the independent promotions. Some of the shows are going on across our wonderful province. So we'll quickly dive into that. I guess anything that stood out for me from our chat with Matt there. I don't think I'll ever forget his dad being the one to pitch himself into being involved.
Yeah, that was probably one of my my favorite takeaways from it. But no, even just seeing the dedication to want to come back. And yeah, I just like the idea that we get a chance to kind of spotlight, good people and he's definitely one of the good ones. And obviously, as we sort of got into there, we've known him for a while, and it's been awesome to see, what he's gone through, and then how he's come out on the other side of it. I can say all the sappy stuff now that he's no longer here, at least. Uh, but no, just to
It took
see
him a little. It
him,
took him a little
uh,
while to log out of this Zoom
yeah,
call. Once he had to go.
but no, it's good. It's been awesome to see his progression, and he's thrived, and it's awesome to see hard work pay off.
Hell yeah, Matt Maverick, and yep, as you mentioned, the IPW's got a good Cortez shows coming up between now and the end of June with WrestleFest 3 from the Frank Crane Arena. Moving on to other promotions quickly. This is a show I'm going to be going to Saturday, March 14th. Thrash Wrestling Grand Machismo from Moccasin Square Gardens on the Kamloops Reserve. That's Saturday, March 14th at 7 o'clock. That's the night before AW Revolution, the pay-per-view event. Next weekend's going to be busy for me. It's just another weekend filled with graps, but happy to see it.
If it makes you feel any better, I was gonna say March 14th is our closing night too. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy one for me as well.
Hell yeah to all of that. And so if you're going to be at the show at Moccasin Square Gardens for Thrash Wrestling Grand Machismo, we do have a card. We've got the BC Interior Championship on the line. Mr. Everything Chase Dagenhart defending against the Cheetah Bear, Jude Dawkins, the best name in wrestling, in my opinion. And then we have Lucha Libre action. Ave Rex taking on Alan Extreme. Draco, as Matt Maverick mentioned, former VIPW champion, former headliner of WrestleFest 1. And I believe he was a teammate in that War Games match last year in the main event of WrestleFest 2. I'd love to see Matt Maverick in the main event of WrestleMania one of these days, but
one of these days, yeah.
I'd like to see Matt versus Cody instead of Cody and Randy.
Well, the good news with WWE is he's still way too young to even sniff the main event scene. So we've got a bit before. Yeah. It's a spring chicken. I just think of The Sopranos. He was a fucking kid.
He was a fucking kid. Okay, back on track here. Jiminy Christmas. So yeah, Draco's taking on Sydney Steele at Thrash Wrestling Grand Machismo. We've got the Fiction Jade taking on Danica Diehard, Della Rouge, and a tag team match, Ginha and Christian Star taking on the Road Canes. From there, Thrash Wrestling is going to Penticton Friday, March 20th at 7 p.m. It's Dangerous Goods at the Luso Canadian Multicultural Society in Penticton. Then the day afterwards, Saturday, March 21st at 7 p.m. from the St. Peter and Paul Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Kelowna, it's Thrash Wrestling Maniacal Ends. The week after that, they're going down south to the desert in a Soyuz. Saturday, March 28th at 7 p.m., Thrash Wrestling Men in Tights at the Royal Canadian Legion in a Soyuz. And if you're in the Kamloops area, here's another show for you. The SASCU Recreation Center in Salmon Arm in the Shoe Swap, Friday, April 10th at 7 p.m. It's Thrash Wrestling Gut Check. The day afterwards, it's going to Vernon. Thrash Wrestling, No Home for Jabronis. What a name, Jiminy Christmas. That'll be taking place Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. from the Schubert Center in Vernon. This show is new. They're going to Nelson. Thrash Wrestling Skullduggery from 801 Rail Street in Nelson, BC. That's Friday, April 17th at 7 p.m. And the last show on the agenda, Thrash Wrestling Cape Town Contra 3 from the Rutland Arena in Kelowna. That's Friday, April 24th at 7 p.m. Matt already plugged all the VIPW shows. So moving on to...
I saved you a bit of time there. There you go.
What a worker. What a pro. This is why BJ trusts him. There you
go.
I don't know how we can never help him, Ace, but we're going to take care of our boy Matt, because not only is he so generous with his time, he's plugging the shows for us.
Exactly.
Saving us so much time. All right. This is a new show, Nation Wrestling Extreme, Vancouver in Flames, taking place on Saturday, March 28th from the Wise in Vancouver, 8 p.m. to 10:30. Boom Pro Wrestling, 2 shows and 2 nights at the Commercial Drive Legion, the 3rd floor in East Van on Commercial Drive. We got Boom Pro Wrestling Key to the City on Friday, March 27th from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And then Saturday, March 28th from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. That's the Coco Harriet Invitational 2026. From there, Boom Pro Wrestling's going to the Sunshine Coast. The Dwight Hall in Powell River, BC on Saturday, April 4th from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And they conclude their recent schedule with Kids League Night 7, Saturday, April 11th from 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. at the St. James Community Square. That is the night before AEW Dynasty taking place at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver. There's a whole weekend of wrestling leading up to that Dynasty show, too. You love to see it. All-Star Wrestling 4, Heavy Mania 2, taking place on April 4th at the Abbotsford Arts Center. Doors open at 6:45 p.m. Going up north, Primetime Wrestling having a big weekend in northern BC and the Caribou. Back-to-back nights in Prince George. Friday, March 13th at the Prince George Civic Center from 5:45 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. They'll do it the day afterwards, Saturday, March 14th, Prince George Civic Center from 5:45 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. Primetime Wrestling for both, and they'll conclude their weekend at the Quesnel and District Senior Society in Quesnel, Sunday, March 15th at 6:30 p.m. A big weekend of Primetime Wrestling. Then we're going to Big West. Big West Wrestling presents Slash and Burn on Saturday, May 16th from the Sullivan Hall in Surrey, BC. And a couple of other shows that I didn't know until they shared them on their respective social media. So we'll give a shout out to those who amplify some other independent pro wrestling shows that went beyond my eye. This goes to shout out to fellow VIPW pro wrestler Bushido Brown, our boy. TWF Tapped Out, taking place at 3012 Murray Street in Port Moody, BC. That's April 4th at 7 p.m. TWF Tapped Out. And then shout out to VIPW trainee, fellow helper, who is also a friend of the show and a friend of us, K-Ma. I don't know if she has a name yet. I don't know if she has a wrestler name yet, but she will be.
I don't know if there's a gimmick there yet, but it's coming, I'm sure.
Hey, if she's gonna be if we can get her on as a guest before, maybe she'll give us our gimmick. Maybe that'll be our Cup Check exclusive.
There you go. Maybe that's I was gonna say maybe that's where you'll get the exclusive.
What is K-Ma's character? But she shared this with us. This is also taking the day before AEW Dynasty. Mystery Wrestling makes its debut in Vancouver Saturday, April 11th at 2 p.m. It's nice and early in the afternoon. It's taking place at the Great Canadian Hastings Racecourse and Casino in East Van. Two notable guest appearances. One from AEW and Reign of Honor. Evil Uno of the Dark Order is going to be at that show. Ace, we saw him at WrestleFest 1. He's an outstanding wrestler. He is outstanding. It's incredible once you see some of these folks who make it to TV and then they come out. You can really, in an intimate setting like that, really see how good they are once they're so up close. And then another big star, I'm pretty excited for this one. Kenta will be at this show, Mystery Wrestling 24, from the Great Canadian Hastings Racecourse and Casino. He was known as Hideo Itami in WWE and NXT. Was a huge star for Pro Wrestling Noah in the 2000s. Went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, back to Pro Wrestling Noah now, but nice to see that legend, Kenta. And finally, our boy, Jake Woods from Edmonton. He promoted this show, Overdrive Wrestling, April 18th from the Limelight Theater in Williams Lake, BC in the Caribou. That's April 18th. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7 o'clock. Ace, the indies are going crazy right now, man. Here we go. I think this is probably, considering Matt and these shows, this is probably the biggest spotlight we've put on the indies in our province yet, and it just makes my heart so full. I don't even know how we transition to the national televised companies now, but my heart's so full. It feels extra good once you can put a spotlight on what's going on in our province. I don't know.
100%. I don't know. Like for me, it's really important, and I think that was one of the things I really wanted to do with this show. I mean, obviously, you could argue that it's a bit easier to obtain local fame, not fame, but success in trying to do a podcast like this. But for me personally, I don't want to get cheesy, but I love where I live. I'm so grateful to be here. And I love getting a chance to highlight it. So one of the things that was really important to me with this show was that we do get to highlight our province because in my humble opinion, the greatest place in the world to live. Not to go on a crazy political tirade, but obviously with everything going on, I'm very grateful to be where I am. Yeah, I love it. We're not perfect. There's still a ways to go before, you know, complete. But yeah, I'm starting to tire of it. But yeah, anyways,
We're not
I
BC is
love
not a
I love BC.
utopia, but we are
No,
proud.
not by any means.
Once
But
you're
any
through
chance I
being
get
through,
to,
but mhm.
yeah, any chance I get to highlight this place, I will take the opportunity to, because it's the happiest place on earth, even though BC does stand for bring cash. Other than that, it's fantastic.
We're going platinum with all the folks who were our age in 1980 with those
Oh
kind of
yeah.
slogans there.
Tell your dad that one for me. I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it.
uh, I think you may have actually said that once or twice, or at
I'm
least
sure I
with
did, and
buddies did.
I'm sure he loved it. I can hear his
All right.
laugh now.
Oh, we love these cackles. All right. Well, moving on to real graps that are not in BC. Going to WWE, I'd say the biggest story of the week. We have a new WWE champion. For the third time, he's finished his story for his dad. Cody Rhodes is the new WWE champion. He defeats Drew McIntyre in the main event of SmackDown. It is now, at this point, Cody defending the WWE Championship against Randy Orton at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Ace, do you think that this will be the match we're getting? Does it excite you? Are there any other avenues that you think that this will go to? We got like a month or so to spare. We got another month or so to go. So I don't know. How do you see this playing out? And thoughts on Cody, 3-time WWE champion.
Yeah, no, I think this was something that needed to happen. Um, I do, of course, I feel like it's hard not to have your heart go out for Drew. But they needed to do something. It wasn't working. Unfortunately, we're seeing a bit of backlash now. Um, I don't know if this makes them pivot again. I don't know if originally the plan was maybe a triple threat with Drew. I don't know. In my mind, I still think that they might be running a fatal four-way with Fatu. But we could be seeing the main event for WrestleMania with Cody and Orton, or at least for night one, I should say. Maybe Drew works Jacob Fatu. Maybe he works Nick Aldis. I know a lot of people. It's tough. We've touched on this on the show before too, on Drew being a losing loser.
It does nothing
This
but
I
lose.
think was yeah, this was one of the most brazen examples. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird one because I really do like Cody, but yeah, I don't know. I feel the tide starting to turn, at least in the online realm. It's tough because this is kind of, we've been saying this with Roman and every face that seems to come out, but this is kind of that modern day Cena now where, whether you like it or not, that's the guy.
It hasn't translated to
And
TV though. This Cody is still. I know he's had some boos and some overseas shows briefly in
yeah,
Portland. This guy was still over like Rover,
that's the
and you know
thing,
what?
right? Like,
Yeah, he's still the guy. And maybe these fans weren't there in the trenches when John Cena comes back from an injury and immediately becomes the world champion by defeating Chris Jericho, or maybe they weren't around for the big dog Roman Reigns, where they tried to make him John Cena when he didn't have the personality to be John Cena. And so there's ways to go. And yeah, it's unfortunate for Drew. I think when I said he was a losing loser that does nothing but lose, again, it's not for Drew Galloway, the person or a performer. It's just this character got walked like a dog by Cody. And then Cody, I'm sure there'll be a book on this one day. In my opinion, he didn't want to lose to Roman Reigns, and he found a way to wiggle his way out of this jam. And so that's how Drew got reheated to become a champion when it just wasn't going to work out. But now, unfortunately, with Drew, he kind of, interacting, costing Jacob his chances and then costing Randy Orton his chances. It feels like Drew's still a central character in the story, even if he shouldn't have been the WWE champion going into this show, or at the very least, it should not have been Drew and Cody, and that's it for a WrestleMania main event after seeing it many times. So I think so. In the main event, Drew has a steel chair. He's going to hit Cody. Jacob Fatu grabs it. And then that leads to ultimately to Cody in his Cody cutter and his crossroads for the win. You could do a thing where it's Drew and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. Maybe they can both still be intertwined with the main event somehow, some way, because they have to find a way to make Cody and Randy a hot angle within a little over a month's time, because I completely forgot about this. They had this match, Cody and Randy, at was it one of the Saudi Arabia
champions, but yeah,
that night of championship, yeah,
Queen of the King or the Ring, whatever the fuck.
Kane and Queen of the Rain, something like that. But yeah, this match had already happened. I forgot about it. I think a lot of folks forgot about it too. So not only do you need to have this match, you need to have an angle because we've seen it before. So is it just a chance really to yeah, no, that's the thing. Do you add Drew and Jacob to it because they've been an integral part of the story for the last couple of months? Like, it still felt like the hottest program in WWE this year was with Cody and Jacob Fatu. So do you still have those guys involved? Maybe Sami Zayn as well, because Sami Zayn's kind of been more prominently featured as asking Cody and Randy, are you guys doing the right thing? Or how do you, if you say you're good people and you're treating each other, you're still friends with each other, how do you have that killer instinct basically to sort of screw them so you can get your opportunity? Honestly, the Sami Zayn portion still the most intriguing aspect to me. Maybe he's somehow in thrust in this all. Maybe he's part of a turn in terms of costing one or the other the championship. I don't know, but it feels like there's still too many ingredients for this just to be Cody and Randy. And I don't know, can you get this heated in just over a month? So I really, it's nothing I can really sink my teeth into. I'm not like on the sitting on the edge of my seat trying to follow along, but I do wonder how this is going to go, because it still feels like there's more ingredients to work with before we ultimately have our main course of a WrestleMania main event.
Man, if only there was a multi-man match that we could book like right before WrestleMania that incorporated like 5 or 6 guys in it that
Right?
could all gun for Drew's title. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's still I'm not out on it. And I know if anything, I feel like I have more intrigue now than I did 3 weeks ago. Because the bad thing I think with the Drew run was that it was just so like, well, it's he's obviously a placeholder till whenever they want to get it back onto Cody. So at least with this now, let's say Drew walks into Mania as champ, because I think that's what everybody wanted who's against this Cody move. He just loses it to Cody at Mania anyways. So I don't know. I think maybe there's a little more intrigue going into it now this way, where okay, um Cody's going to be the champ going in, whether it's just Orton, whether it's Orton and Drew, whether it's Orton, Drew and Jacob, whatever the fuck they do. I do think this change at the very least, you know, I mean, Bischoff coined it with controversy creates cash. Seems like right now, obviously Cody, like we said, huge pop when he did win the championship, but a lot of backlash online. Um, all public, all pub. Oh, oh my god, I cannot say it. All publicity is good publicity. I don't know
It's
why
called a
that's
promo, kid. You're gonna have to learn how to cut one soon. I'm sorry.
first off, you suck. But no, but that's the thing, right? And yeah, I think going into Mania now, at least we've got something, even if you love it or hate it, there's a bit more intrigue there. And, so I think the championship going back was probably the right move to Cody in this moment. Now, that being said, it is hard not to see the Cody Hogan memes and, you know, yeah. But that's another whole nother story altogether. But I don't know. I was for the change, so we'll see how it unfolds over the next couple weeks.
Yep. And this doesn't like absolve WWE of the previous booking, like just because you're not doing like the worst case scenario when it comes to an interesting main event for your biggest show of the year, a pivot was needed. You shouldn't have been in this position to begin with. And it just feels in general, I know there's been some issues with injuries to Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Bianca Belair maybe not being ready to go as anticipated. And then Naomi was pregnant and she had to vacate her championship. But boy, oh boy, in general, I cannot recall a WrestleMania build that has been this disjointed or this unorganized or reactionary, for lack of a better term. So it's better than what was initially pitched. They still have to wear, like, if you're setting the table, you're still responsible for buying the silverware and the tablecloth, I suppose.
Yeah, not to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they have had some shit luck there with, like you had mentioned, some injuries and pregnancy. Like it has been a bit of a rough kick of the can of it. But again, that does not, I always say it explains, it doesn't excuse. So it explains it, but it doesn't excuse the AI slop in some senses we've been getting from.
Oh, brother, we'll get to this in this NXT because NXT had a show, their last pay-per-view event on Peacock, their Vengeance Day show. I'll get into AI in just a second, but you know what will fix this issue of WWE Creative? No more Road Dog, or so
Yeah.
folks want us to think. So going into the weekend, it was announced that Road Dog Brian James was leaving his position as a part of the creative team. Uh, Folks are celebrating because maybe they're not a fan of Road Dogg's booking after multiple stints as being a lead writer for SmackDown under Vince and then under Triple H. Uh, Ace, I haven't watched Unreal. I refuse to watch all of Unreal. Uh, I know that the Road Dog has not come across well in that show. I think, in a sense, though, we see what they want us to see, and while I can't say Road Dog was part of the solution, I can't quite say he's the problem, though. What'd you make of the announcement that Road Dog left of his own accord? Oh, how it kind of leaves WWE creatively, because I'm just kind of the sense there's a system in place and he's just a part of it, even if he wasn't part of the solution. So I don't know. You have any takes on our boy, the Road Dog, getting his ass on out of here?
Yeah, so as somebody who has seen both seasons of Unreal, um, the interesting thing with Road Dogg, because whether you like him or hate him, because he hasn't done himself a whole lot of favors in the last few years, um, the one thing I will say, especially with the truth stuff that came out during that Unreal, was I felt, at least in the presentation and kind of how he was, I kind of got the impression he was not a fan of what happened. I kind of got the impression that he was maybe a little bit more outspoken in meetings that were actually behind closed doors and there weren't Netflix camera crews and present. And then when those Netflix camera crews were present, and well, yeah, da, 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 about when it came to truth, you're not guaranteed yeah. Long story short, without playing too much of the guessing game, I feel like he was probably not a fan of some of the stuff that was going. I think it's kind of a shit position for him to be in too, because obviously he's one of the boys. He's, a former wrestler. He's obviously been buddies with Triple H for the last 25, 30 years. Same with Truth. I think he's one of those guys where it's really hard to be friends with both management and the boys. And I think he kind of caught himself in that position where you know, he is one of the guys, but he's also not. You're one of, I won't say stooges, but you're one of the stooges. It's just instead of Patterson and Briscoe, now it's Hayes and Pritchard and Road Dog. And um, so I don't know exactly what happened here. If I were to guess, like I said, I feel like it was probably maybe it was mutual. Maybe, he aired some grievances that were actually behind closed doors and just said, look, this isn't working for me anymore. Um, only time will tell. I'm sure at some point get a podcast or a book, like you said, about it. Um, but if I were a betting man, that would probably be my most educated guess, is that there was some friction there because you could tell he really loved Truth. Not that we rag on Big Nose a lot, but
Maybe
I don't
clear
think,
that's Triple H.
to confirm, that's Triple H. Yeah,
Physically, he does have a big nose.
we
There's no
he does have
undertones
a
to that
large
one.
snout. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It Like I said, it's I think he just got caught in the middle of it. Uh, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see kind of I'm sure we'll get the fallout eventually.
Yeah, like for the most part, for years, WWE's always been like pretty good at like, managing the outlets that cover them well, like being able to give them scoops, even if they're low stakes. Like every now and then you'll hear if a segment that's well regarded by fans, they'll say, oh, Jason Jordan was the producer of this segment, or oh, Bobby Roode was the producer of this. You never quite heard ever when a idea was credited to the Road Dog. And I haven't watched all of Unreal. The one scene that I saw pop up in social media and that kind of stood out to me was him wanting to have Chelsea Green win the Women's United States Championship again, or whichever belt that was. And then the question was brought, well, who do you have Chelsea face afterwards? And he was just blanking out. And he said, oh, just be good for the shock value or whatever. And I feel bad putting this on him because I'm sure with Unreal, we see what they want us to see, and Triple H is the puppet master with all these incompetent writers. Look at how much he has to overcome. Not just he has to play with the chess pieces, but he's got incompetent blokes around him that he has to overcome. But I think the idea of like, oh, Chelsea Green should just win the championship, it'd be good shock value. I think in general, those are the ideas we could use less of going forward, and maybe move out a little bit of the old guard and try and get some new, fresh ideas. Maybe nothing against gray hairs, but there's a lot of folks over the age of 40 and 50 in that creative room, and I just wonder if it's just time to begin more of an improved process of bringing in some newer folks and some newer ideas, folks that, you know, take a look at like a Matt Maverick coming here, for example. Yeah, he's respecting the veterans. He hasn't been doing this for too long now, but he's been doing it enough. I'm sure he's got some fresh ideas while still understanding how the business works. And I think we could use a lot of those folks in these writing rooms going forward.
What's tough to go, especially going back to that Chelsea Green example, is you're right. A move just for shock values, not it. That being said, the response of, well, who do you have her fight after? Respectfully, it's kind of your fucking job to figure that out. Like just it's insane to think of the roster that they have and the talent that they have, because I think if you say, pound for pound, this is probably one of the best rosters, pure wrestling wise they've ever had. And to say something like, well, who did like they face afterward? It's like, well, that's what wrestling is, man. It's always about the next show. You know, it's the kind of business where there is no complacency. Other than when they peddle out video games every, little bit, you can't live in the past, right? It's always the next show. It's always the next show. It's always the next show. Um, and yeah, to me, that's the crazier part of that interaction is, oh, what if we did this? And it's like, well, and then you look at right now, it's like, well, what are they doing with Julia anyways as the United States champion? To say like, oh, she shouldn't win it because she should be, well, who the fuck's Julia facing? Like, I don't know. We kind of sidetracked here now, but I will say,
Okay.
yeah, I was never a huge Road Dogg guy to begin with, so it's weird coming on and kind of defending him in that light. That being said, he's, still a human. I'm not gonna completely shit on him. I think there's more to the story than we're probably hearing, and I don't think we'll hear it for a bit, but I'm sure at some point, cream always rises, and we'll figure out what happened.
You mentioned briefly all the talent, pure wrestling wise that WWE has. A lot of that was on display in a tag team turmoil match. And here's the thing: WWE has not really cared for the tag team division over the last year and change, outside of a TLC match here or there. So
Even historically,
yes, I felt like Triple H kind of valued it more during the black and gold era of NXT, but not really much on the main roster. But they're trying again with the tag team division. It ends with R-Truth and Damian Priest winning. R-Truth, he's doing the John Cena spots. You know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a John Cena tribute act. If anyone deserves to get paid for doing the John Cena tribute act and hit, because everyone still wants to chant "You Can't See Me" after his comeback, I'm okay with Truth getting that role. So,
yeah.
yep. And then the Motor City Machine Guns, they're teasing a split. I feel like this is the first time I've seen them on TV for months. One of the best tag teams to ever come out of North America, I'd say, in our lifetime. They were hinted at a split because, I think it was Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley, one of them gets their foot on the rope, and then it's Fraxium, who talk about how good those guys were in NXT, like being talked about that they were that they were a better team in 1 year than the Young Bucks were, to all of a sudden be on the main roster, and you hardly hear of these guys. Unbelievable. But anyway, back on track. They're teasing MRC Machine Gun split. My opinion is they may not be over right now. If you split them up, they're toast, warm, buttery toast. Using an example in AEW, the Acclaimed split up, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Yeah, they were at their peak, but they're still better together than on their own because, especially with how deep the WWE roster is and how many folks are struggling to get over, if you just have a Chris Sabin or Alex Shelley on their own, I just don't see how this works out. And then during this tag team turmoil match, where are the Street Profits? So they're trying with this tag team division. I'm still wanting more. Ace, I don't know. Am I fighting a lost cause here with WWE's tag team division or what? I don't know.
Yeah, I partly definitely think you're probably giving it more thought than they are. Um, that being said, I think the thing that is unfortunate about, like, let's say a Motor City Machine Gun split, you're right. With both of them not necessarily, being super well known with today's crowd, it would go nowhere. It's funny. I was thinking of an example when you were first mentioning it, with London and Kidman when they broke up in 2004 on SmackDown. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking the difference there is, at least if they weren't super over, if they were just, kind of a mid card to lower card tag team, they had time to at least somewhat develop a feud. The unfortunate thing, I think, if we had seen the Motor City Machine Gun split up, you won't see them every week. You will, see them every three, every four, and I complain about this a lot with modern wrestling versus, the days when we were young, but it's tough because these guys aren't there, so they just don't have the time to do that. Now I know SmackDown is 3 hours, which is nuts as well. Um, but it's just, yeah, you're not going to get that kind of even that build with it. You're going to get a quick 3-minute vignette shot backstage, pre-recorded that, nobody really remembers after it happens. And 7 people, comment on an X and go like, oh, that was sick. This is finally the moment for Alex Shelley to break through. And then nothing comes of it. As for Truth and Priest, it feels very random, but I mean, historically, again, we've seen this with WWE, so it's not completely out of their wheelhouse. It's just wild that, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they obviously still, hold Priest in somewhat of a mid-card regard. So it's like, well, we've got to do something with them, and I unfortunately think this is it. Um, so yeah, so we'll get a match out of this on a SmackDown in 3-4 weeks that won't really, matter too much in the grand scheme of things. And I don't see them losing to the MFTs. So
Yep. Moving on. Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley have a face-to-face segment ahead of their WWE Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. You mentioned a little bit last week, I should say, about there being any tensions on if they were shooting or were they working, brother, when they were talking on social media. This segment kind of killed any tension or suspension of belief in terms of if they're shooting. Rhea asks Jade to come out and say stuff to her face. Jade says that she's bigger and she's stronger. She's really robotic during this. This is not her best work. This is not her best delivery. Rhea then agrees that Jade may be bigger, but she asks Jade if she can hit Rhea with her best shot. Will she go down? And then she says, hey, Jade, you will not go down if I hit you with my best shot. And says that Jade's body is just for show, is aesthetically pleasing, while hers is meant for fighting, wrestling. She steals Jade's I'm that bitch catchphrase and does a mic drop. This is not too much for me. This felt like something you see in the SmackDown versus Raw game, quite frankly. I can't say I'm much more intrigued to see this match after than before. And I wasn't even that interested before.
yeah, I don't know who told Jade it was open mic night. But it sucks because again, with the like legitimate stuff that we see, who knows? Again, we've talked about it before in this unreal real world.
Are you joined the
Um,
show?
yeah,
Keep watching
I
the
don't know
show.
if it was true or not on Twitter the other week. I'm going to lean yes, but if it was, this is one fucking strange way to follow it up. Comparing biceps and yeah, I don't know. I'm not super thrilled in it so far. We've still got a bit of time to hopefully steer the ship. But we'll see what comes of it. If anything, I really hope I think that's where they're going to, but I really hope Rhea does take this championship. Um, and I don't know. I don't think the Jade experiment's completely failed just yet, but it's just not clicking in my opinion. Um,
Jade
I don't know.
is Jade. Like, that's the thing. I remember when she was wrestling a few weeks ago with Jordan Grace. I said, Jordan probably got the best match out of Jade that you can probably get out of her. And that's just going to be Jade. And I think that this, whether that stuff that they mentioned on social media, Rhea and Jade, I mean, it's based on, even if you say they weren't shooting, it was based off critiques that have reportedly been uttered that,
Mhm.
Jade got the push because she's got the look and she was uh, taken from AEW. And that, that report with her and Shayna Baszler getting into it briefly that, Jade kind of blamed Shayna for not knowing how to work when Jade is Jade. Like, maybe she can do some cool power spots. Maybe she could be the women's division's version of Bill Goldberg. And I think, like Matt kind of touched on a little bit during his our sit down a little bit earlier in the show, but like some folks, I just don't think can get wrestling. I don't think Jade will ever completely get wrestling. She's had a lot of time. I'm sure she's still green. She hasn't had nearly enough matches, and a lot of those matches were very brief. She's had a lot of teaching, she's had a lot of training, and I think this is just who she is. I'm sure that they were planning to wrap the storyline with her and Bianca Belair, or maybe Naomi before, Naomi was going to start a family, or Bianca, maybe they thought that she'd be back by now. But when push comes to shove, there's nothing wrong with putting your championship on your top star. And Rhea might be the top star in the entire company, at the very least, the women's division. No, this Jade experiment, I think it's just time to pull the plug. I wouldn't even put the plug in to begin with, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I did like Jade and I still do. But you're right. For somebody who's now, I mean, when did she come around in AEW? Like 2021?
2021. And I think before you go on, give your point, there's value
Yeah,
for some Jade. Like, you're allowed, think of a wrestling
100%.
show or roster as like a sports team, like an NBA roster or an NFL or whatever. You're allowed to have your role players, but you can't be banking on Jade to lead your team in scoring, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. Any other notes on SmackDown that you want to add before we briefly get into this NXT Vengeance Day breakdown?
No, I think that that about covers it for SmackDown there.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I know we went long last week, but at least we covered Raw. Raw was more newsworthy over the last week than SmackDown. So at least we covered through that. So NXT Vengeance Day, it was their final pay-per-view event on Peacock before we don't know exactly where they'll go in the States. They're still up here on Netflix in Canada. Wasn't a bad show. It's nothing you need to go out of your way to see. It felt like more like a TV special rather than a pay-per-view event. Main event, though, Joe Hendry retains the NXT Championship against Ricky Saints. They edited out, you know how you have the video packages before the match begins? They barely touched on old Ricky Saints' musical performance from last week's NXT, where he's doing a live concert mocking Joe Hendry. And I think a lot of those videos got edited or taken down on social media as well, too. Ace, did you see that segment with old Ricky Saints there? I'm surprised he's still standing after that. Just he felt like when he got the comments that he's just a Rock knockoff. I always wanted to push back on that just a little bit. I felt like I was watching a diet version of 2003 Hollywood Rock during that segment. It was painful to watch.
Yeah, no, I did see. I didn't get to watch the show just yet, but I did see the clip on Twitter for yeah. I It's tough because I do really like Ricky Saints too. Um, and even I think in a vacuum, it's not awful. It's just the comparisons. You're right. Like it's funny. I remember when I first saw it, I didn't even really think of it till I started seeing some of the quote tweets, and yeah. It's tough though too. I feel like that's almost the downside with so much history now, at least like especially WWE wise with lore is no matter what, there's always going to be comparisons. I mean, people are saying like Trick Williams, he's like a young Rock, and you get that a lot. Like, what's we were just saying, I said fucking what 10 minutes ago that like Cody Rhodes is in that John Cena role now, or so it is tough because there is you can only reinvent the wheel so many times. That being said, a rock concert is, yeah, I don't
A
know.
little too on the nose, and
I think
there's
it was
something
just
about
cringe too. I don't know. It just wasn't good. Like it wasn't,
it.
Elias never got the rock comparisons, like
It went on too
yeah,
long. Like it's okay if you can't sing and you can't play guitar and you're doing this to mock Joe Hendry, who's a musician as well.
yeah.
There's something to that. The punchline can't last for a whole segment. Maybe that you get a minute
Yeah.
of heat. Not
I was
7
gonna say
minutes.
20-30 seconds, maybe max.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Yeah, you can be a bad singer and being, like another example again from our youth, like a Jillian Hall. It was so bad, like it was supposed to be bad.
Mhm.
Um, where in this case, I don't know if it was necessarily supposed to be as bad as it was. Um, but yeah, it definitely didn't help his stock, I don't think, in the long run.
No. So on the show though, earlier in the show, Ricky Saints was asking Ethan Page backstage if he has his back for the main event, and Ricky is saying that he'll be a two-time NXT champion, just like how he'll help Ethan Page be a two-time North American champion. But once Ricky leaves, Ethan just looks out into the distance and says, two-time, because he did hold the NXT championship way back when. So you go to the main event. It's pretty good. It's a back and forth match. Ethan eventually comes out. He tries to hand over the NXT championship belt to Ricky, but he overshoots it. Whether he meant to toss it to him or not, he overshoots it and just goes to the right, where Joe Hendry is. There's a struggle for the belt. The referee takes it away. Ricky hits Joe in the nuts while the ref is putting the belt away. He hits his tornado DDT only for a 2 count. Afterwards, the ref almost gets crashed. Like, he's in the corner. There's almost 2 times where Ricky and Joe are thrown into the corner. They almost crash into the ref. So while that struggle's happening, Joe hits Ricky in the nuts, gets his comeuppance, and then hits his standing ovation and wins. It's hinting at tension between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. We got like a month away until this stand and deliver show, but the way I see this, it's maybe this program with Joe Hendry and Ricky Saints continues. Maybe Ethan Page wants in on this championship match, but I can't say the road to stand and deliver their biggest show of the year a month away. I can't say the road is too clear at this point, but that's just how I view it. That's my best guess of where they're going. I have no idea, Ace.
If you think the grass is so green, why don't you hop over and main event stand and deliver of a buy one get five free? I forget the exact line. That's more of a paraphrase, but no, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I again, somebody who likes Ethan Page too. It's tough. I think they have been kind of saddled with not the best to kind of sink their teeth into. Um, and maybe we see post Mania some call ups. I don't know though, just because we had a few of them kind of, with Obafemi and Javon Evans and Trick Williams. I hope so, just because I feel it's tough. I get development, I
Sign
think, is
some.
supposed to be development.
Give Ethan Page. Like I know Ethan Page is down there because he's a worker. He's a really good wrestler, and he's leading these NCAA Division One athletes and folks who are far more green than he is, and trying to teach him how to work essentially. But hire some other workers. Like this guy's been down there for almost 2 full years. Let's get Ethan Page up to the main roster. I'm feeling for this guy. And then, for that matter, Rookie Saints. Yeah, no, I don't want to see him rot away on developmental for too much longer either. But
Well,
I don't know.
it is interesting too, because I mean, like a guy like Danhausen's just completely skipped NXT.
I mean, Danhausen doesn't need. Danhausen's not there to be a wrestler. He's there to sell merchandise.
You're not wrong. But, that being said, it is interesting though. Obviously this will play a bit more into the backstage side of it, but I saw a few tweets saying that, like, obviously with Cody's boy Ricky being kind of stuck in NXT, when Danhausen, Punk got him flown right in and got a nice big crate for him to come out of in his hometown.
Ricky is CM Punk's boy too. Like,
sure, they're not that close apparently, though.
Really, apparently not. But like, God, like, I mean, Ricky Saints is like gonna be the top heel to face CM Punk on Collision when that show was starting, and CM Punk was basically the head writer of Collision. And then he had to shove Jack Perry, and he wanted to get out, I'm sure. And then poor Ricky's just there. What the fuck? So, anyways, if he has that pull, bring Ricky.
Dude.
Come up to the main roster, brother. Last note, Booker T, who was named the worst announcer of the year. After seeing a whole show of Booker T's commentary, I gotta say, I didn't feel like he was trying to put himself over like Pat McAfee. I felt like in the main event, he's singing along to Joe Hendry's song, and it's in such a goofy way. It popped me. It made me laugh. But like, he's singing Joe Hendry's song. You're like, this is a banger of a tune. I'm gonna sing along to this. So I don't know. There's worse guys out there than Booker T, I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I like seeing people like to have fun. So good on your book.
Hell yeah, brother. Other notes on the show, Tatum Paxley defeats Izzy Dame to become the new NXT Women's North American Champion. I'll say pretty good. I mean, these two are just both as green as can be. I mean, Tatum's a former power lifter. She started training at the Performance Center in 2021. Izzy's a former volleyball player, started training in 2022. So they had a good match. Like, this match would not look out of place on a SmackDown, for example. Like, it's a overproduced choreographed match that ends up doing pretty well. It wouldn't be out of place on a SmackDown, but Tatum gets to win over Izzy against her old group. About the AI. So I'm not sure if this is just because there's commercials that play on Peacock, but I'm watching the show on Netflix during, I guess, where the commercials would be. They're showing segments that would relate to whatever match would play. And they show the segment with Tatum Paxley talking about her history, because I guess in real life, like, her teammates at the time one got released, Gigi Dolan, then the other one left. So the story was she was a loner, and then the group that Izzy Dame is in, the Colleen welcomes her in, and then Tatum wins the NXT Women's Championship, and then a month or so later, Izzy and the Colleen turn on her. She's one of the examples of like, okay, maybe you could have had like a bigger star last year, but then NXT kind of fumbled. And so this video's just going about Tatum talking about, how she always felt like she had to change herself to try and be accepted by others instead of not being her true self. Ace, this whole thing is generative AI. I swear on the stack of Bibles, there's just weird nonsense. It's black and white. She's underwater, and it has those similar weird zoom ins on an AI video. And she's crying out like rose thorns. She's trying to dive, like swim up to the surface. She's underwater. This is just like 2 minutes of just AI slop bullshit. Get this shit out of my TV. I can't stand it when they do this.
Unfortunately, I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. And you know what, honestly, like, I mean, the big example a few months back was when Dominic was AEW World Champion. Yeah, I love seeing stuff like that because it's just like, fuck you, like it's just, yeah, I don't know. Before I go completely off the rails on an AI rant, um yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but unfortunately I don't see it going anywhere.
No. Other notes on the show, Lola Vice defeats Kalani Jordan in a short underground match. Ace, we remember Raw Underground briefly, where
do we?
McMahon was basically, for those who've never seen Underground match, for a little bit as a way to try and boost the ratings. The last segment of Raw, or last half hour, or whatever, would be Raw Underground, where there wouldn't be ring ropes or posts or anything like that. It would just be a flat ring canvas. And this is where they would have worked shoot MMA fights. So Lola Vice has had 3 of these in NXT prior, and she's a former MMA fighter. She went like a record of 4-1. She was in Bellator, so she was legit. And Kalani Jordan is not that. She's a really talented gymnast, but they film a segment on the week prior in NXT. Kalani Jordan, the gymnast, is training with Shayna Baszler, who's a producer of NXT now, former NXT Women's Champion, like a pioneer mixed martial artist. Kalani, God bless this segment. They tightly edit this. You can just tell, though, she doesn't know how to strike. She doesn't know how to grapple. She doesn't know how to do fucking anything. And she's supposed to have a underground match where she's supposed to shoot and do real MMA stuff. So I was wondering what this is going to be. Thankfully, this is like 6 or 7 minutes. It's not good, but basically the only way 6-7. So Kalani's working over Lola Vice's injured hand basically by just like stomping on it. Her only MMA stuff you can kind of say is like Lola kind of leading her through it, like in terms of rolling over for like an arm bar or whatever, and then just doing fake punches, like fake ground and pound. Eventually, Lola wins with a TKO with a backhand. So that's the thing. You can only win by like knockout, submission, or TKO. So Lola hits her backhand. She wins. Crowd goes home happy. This was not good. This could have been a fucking disaster, though. Get folks who actually know who actually know martial arts to do martial arts inspired matches. Like, it's like the Miz when he was doing joint manipulation on like Bryan Danielson back in the day. I'm like, no, I don't accept this.
Since I didn't get to watch this match last night, I will comment on, because I know it'll get a kick out of you, with Raw Underground from, God, I guess that was like 4 years ago now. When you had said like the last hour and they can say and do whatever the hell they want. And all I could think of was Tim Robinson there, and I wanted to let you know that because I thought you'd get a kick out of it.
Oh,
these fucking fuckers are to come out of the fucking ring and just fucking.
Yeah, no, I know. We don't have to swear on the show, but you know what? Go watch the Tim Robinson. I think you should leave a Ghost Tour sketch. I'm not comfortable with some of that verbiage. It's the Vince McMahon lawsuit kind of verbiage that I'm not quite comfortable uttering.
Yeah.
And moving on, Tony D'Angelo defeats Dion Lex. Talk about a guy they need to call up. This Tony D'Angelo, this former amateur wrestler who has been in NXT since like the beginning of the 2.0 days. So it starts with a parking lot brawl and backstage brawl in the back. Dion is like waiting outside for Tony with his Dark State group. A guy drives in a convertible, but it's not Tony D'Angelo. So Dark State's ready to beat this guy up in the convertible. It's not Tony. He comes from behind and attacks them. And so the brawl begins. This isn't like peak Kevin Dunn with all the camera cuts. It's pretty close, though. I was feeling a little nauseous seeing all these different cuts as they're brawling through the back. Tony punches a hole through a bathroom door. That's going to go to the NXT Health and Safety Committee. They crash through the wall in the Performance Center. Dion hits a suplex through the announce table. And so the play-by-play announcer, Vic Joseph, I was always told, he just loves his candy. Like, he's a fully grown man, but he just fucking loves sugar. He loves candy. So the suplex goes through the announce table. I see like this corner of the announce table, like this big colorful explosion. I'm wondering, what the fuck is that? There is an ungodly amount of Starburst and Skittles, like these Halloween candy packages. And this candy's everywhere. Ace, I got a sweet tooth as much as the next guy. You can't do this in an evening session, let alone a 2-hour session. Vic, I hope you got a good metabolism, buddy. Jiminy Christmas. Eventually, Tony wins with a spear and a choke slam. Hit a bunch of great German suplexes throughout, too. Get Tony on the main roster, even if he's not the mob boss like he was before. He's just a guy now. Even if he's not the mob boss, bring him up. Bring him up. He served his time down here.
You know what sucks is he's the kind of guy too where, again, not that I'm advocating for anybody to return, but he would have thrived in previous management. Oh boy, oh, could you imagine the vignettes that he would have gotten if he was around in like 2013? Just oh, God.
He was he would have thrived even in 1995 because he can actually kind of work a little.
Even arguably more so. Arguably more so.
Could you imagine Bret Hart against mob boss Tony D'Angelo at SummerSlam that year?
Would have been that would have been an in your house, but yeah, it would have been a good 9-minute match, and like Scott Hall says, $400,000 man as long as he got to slap the sharpshooter on at the end. we were good.
Yep. Alrighty. So, and then the show opened up with Blake Monroe, the former Mariah May in AEW. She defeats Jada Parker in a street fight. One thing I never understood with WWE. So it's a street fight. There are kendo sticks lodged in the ropes, and WWE loves its kendo sticks for its street fights. I was thinking about Tony D'Angelo being the old mob boss. Unless I'm mistaken, did Al Capone or someone ever, like, you know, whenever a street fight breaks out or ever there's an assignment, they're like, get the kendo sticks, boys. Why are there so many kendo sticks in WWE street fights? God.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funny actually. So I'm in a sports history class currently. We touched on Al Capone briefly during kind of the startup of the NHL and the Blackhawks expanding into that market. And we talked about I think his name was Sammy Hunt. They called him Golf Club or Golf Bag because he infamously carried his Tommy gun in a golf bag. So he just carried a thing of, you know, a golf bag around. I don't know if there was a kendo stick in there though. I think it was just a gun. But yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. All right. So the point of these kendo sticks are, so like, you ever seen any ring ever? There's like the 3 ropes or whatever. These kendo sticks are actually lodged in to these ropes to stand up. And so Blake puts a chair on these kendo sticks, but Jada is the one who puts Blake face first into the chair onto these kendo sticks in the ropes. That looked scary. Jada goes for a springboard senton to the outside. She overshoots it by a little bit. So Blake Monroe's on a table. Jada goes for this springboard seated senton. She overshoots it by a little bit. Her thighs basically put Blake through this table while she just rolls back and falls flat on her back. That looked like it sucked. That looked like it hurt. Blake pours a bag. And so Blake was a part of some in AEW most famously, the Hollywood ending, basically a women's death match in AEW with Toni Storm. She has this bag, kind of looks like thumbtacks, but it's WWE. They're never gonna never say never. I don't think that they'll ever let the women in WWE ever have an honest to God hardcore match like Mick Foley would under their umbrella. So Blake pours out this bag. It's not thumbtacks, it's diamonds because Blake Monroe's the glamour. Eventually, Blake throws these diamonds in Jada's face. Does a handstand on the bottom ropes, hits a Rana, hits her DDT onto the diamonds, and wins. I don't think these are shoot diamonds. Just like how I don't think cocaine uses shoot coke, I don't think these were shoot diamonds that Blake Monroe was using.
Would have been crazy if they were, though.
Could you imagine the payday? That if she was given shoot diamonds, I wouldn't judge her for jumping ship. Honestly, this seemed like I was fine with this. It seemed like it was one of Blake's better segments in NXT, and I've kind of wanted an excuse to talk a little bit about Blake Monroe, the former Mariah May in AEW, because it's been about a year or so now where she left AEW at the height of her storyline with Toni Storm, goes to NXT. She's a lifelong WWE fan. Like, she was watching and cheering in the trenches in 2019, one of the worst eras ever. And so she goes to NXT and it has just not worked out. And it's also, how do I say, a year ago, there was a infamous promo now. It was like before Tony and Mariah May finished their storyline at Revolution last year. The infamous Toni Storm promo where she says, "You do not deserve the dignity of death. I sentence you to a lifetime of mediocrity." And anytime Blake Monroe, the former Mariah May, has a segment that doesn't go well in WWE, that promo is just quote tweeted, reposted, whatever you say. I thought it'd be a smooth fit for the former Mariah May going into NXT as Blake Monroe. It has seemingly not worked out at all, and it's getting worse. Ace, we've had a year or so of a sample size. What are you thinking of Blake Monroe's chances in WWE after this year?
I don't know. It's tough because NXT success doesn't always translate to WWE success, but at the same time, NXT failure doesn't automatically mean, NXT failure doesn't automatically mean WWE failure either.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I actually think she's somebody who would benefit over on the main roster versus in NXT. I know we've got a lot of talented women there right now. But I think she's somebody who would translate better on the main roster versus in NXT. But yeah, it's tough. I also don't see her leaving anytime soon. I think she's in maybe not like Tony D'Angelo levels of, tenure, but I definitely see her in NXT for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and that's too bad because, like, here's the thing with NXT and the main roster. So Javon Evans has been great for a long time, and Oba Femi is doing great. They did not get the call ups until they were on the final Saturday or John Cena's retirement show, Saturday Night's Main Event at the end of the year. It makes you wonder, like, how in tune Triple H or WWE's creative is with NXT that it took him at that point to pull the trigger and call up Oba Femi and Javon Evans. So Blake Monroe, here's the thing. I loved her in AEW. Like, the storyline with Toni Storm and the love triangle involved with Mina Shirakawa, one of my favorite stories in all of wrestling. I loved it. I thought it wasn't all Toni. Toni was the star, but I thought Mariah May was a great dance partner. And I think that's a thing where, we talked about like treating your wrestling roster like a sports team. You can say with the right dance partner, like Mariah May was a first liner, but she wasn't driving the line, if you know what I mean. Like, Alex Burrows with my Vancouver Canucks back in the day performed like a first liner, but he couldn't do that without the Sedines. Like, the Sedines were the one driving that line, but Alex Burrows made the Sedines better. So Mariah May was a good dance partner. Her stuff looked good, like how The Miz, for example, can be a good dance partner for a lot of folks, but I think Mariah May's stuff looks better than The Miz, quite frankly. But, Mariah May, I think we've seen the last year in NXT, she's not the ring general. She can't be the one driving the line or having these great matches with just about anyone. Like if she's with Toni Storm or Willow Nightingale or Thunder Rosa, yeah, she'll have great matches too. But there's been that disconnect. And look, you're right about NXT success not necessarily leading to main roster success. NXT has a big issue right now with getting these characters over, and these bits of dialogue are awful. And poor Mariah May, she's not. It's like how, on the build to his WrestleMania run last year, Jey Uso somehow got worse as time went on. It feels like Mariah May or Blake Monroe has become a worse promo as the year has gone on, because trying to deliver this slop given to her in NXT, but then also she's not necessarily delivering it well. And there's less music between the notes. It's not nearly as subtle as her work in AEW was. Like, I think she'd be a good actor, not necessarily a good promo. And the way she is now, like, she lost her NXT North American Championship by accident to Thea Hale, because when Thea Hale went for her springboard move and winded Mariah May in the match, Mariah couldn't get her shoulder up in time, and the referee had to call it like a real sport contest. And that's how she lost the championship. And they didn't give her the championship back anytime soon. They just went an entirely different direction. And then Blake Monroe, I still want to call her Mariah, she loses to Thea Hale again in a speed tournament, which is like the 5-minute max championship belt. She lost in that tournament. So I just wonder, I don't know if she'll ever get this opportunity, because I'm looking at Stand and Deliver. I don't think she's getting a North American Championship match. I don't think she's getting a Women's Championship match. If she's not prominently featured on the big NXT shows, how is Triple H or any of these WWE guys going to notice her when they don't notice Javon Evans or Oba Femi until they see them on John Cena's last show? I feel like this is a bad spot to be in. I kind of feel bad for her.
Yeah, I don't know. Even touching on your bit about her maybe being more of like a complimentary dance partner, I don't know if part of that's just experience too, because I feel like that's something you can hone as you progress. Now, that being said, though, there has been a string of just shit luck that we've seen, obviously, with like you had mentioned, with the North American Championship, and but I don't know. I'm not out on her just yet. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I don't
She
know.
is younger than
I
us,
don't
though. Like,
think.
she is
Yeah, well,
young.
and that's what I
Hold
mean,
on.
right? That's
And
why
she
when you
had a
say
lot of
like,
experience too. Mhm.
yeah, oh yeah, that's why it's when you'll say like, oh, is it more of a lead? And it's like, well, fuck, like, I mean, when you think of the age alone, like, obviously it's not quite like the male main event scene in WWE, but like, still so young, right? Like, um, yeah, I don't know. I think that she's somebody who would benefit in WWE outside of NXT. But we'll see as time goes on. But you're right, that is an interesting thing, especially the irony of Triple H, for so long, kind of hoping, I won't say hoping, but obviously he was very successful in NXT's Black and Gold era. But there was a lot of jokes, that you can attest to at the time where it was, oh, I hope Vince doesn't see, Bobby Roode and take him away because he's going to be doing nothing. Or, oh, Shinsuke's doing so great down here. I hope they don't notice him up there, because if they do, he's, going to be given a shit gimmick. And so it's funny now, fast forward to 2026, where Triple H is the one in WWE. And it's a lack of attention to NXT when he was in NXT, it was fighting to get these guys massive. And yeah, it's kind of funny to you know
Maybe Blake Monroe will be better in WWE, but you know what? She might be better in AEW too.
it could be
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you kind of see it a little bit with Andrade El Idolo coming back to AEW and being treated pretty well. It seems like Mariah May did business the right way. She lost to Tony twice on the way out. Like, honestly, like, Mariah May had like the ideal territory run where she comes in, she's part of the main storyline, she wins the championship, and she puts over the new star over twice in spectacular fashion. And Tony Storm became a bigger star with that storyline. happening. So I think if there's ever a chance for the door to open, I think she'll give WWE a go because that's her dream. I think she would be welcomed back to AEW in open arms, though, if she ever does want to go back, though. So keep working for the dream, but just know maybe there are greener pastures. Maybe you should get main event night 4 of a buy one, get free at All In. You never know.
There you go. Yeah,
Yep.
once All In goes 2 nights, I think I'm gonna tap out of the podcast. I'm done.
Oh, fuck. I can't wait to give our schedule for WrestleMania weekend. Like, I'm sick of
Yeah,
2
it's
nights,
gonna be nuts.
but
I'm already terrified of how that's gonna play out logistically.
we will barrel on through, though. But any final
Yeah.
WWE
Cross that
notes?
bridge when we get there.
Any notes on WWE before we move on to AEW here?
No, I think that's kind of a nice place to put a bow on the week that was.
Now moving on to AEW. AEW had a hell of a week, quite frankly. Dynamite, I want to say the central character of the week of TV for AEW, I believe, was actually Kevin Knight. But we'll start with Dynamite. The opening match, a pay-per-view main event to open in Dynamite, pretty much. MJF retains the AEW Men's World Championship against Kevin Knight. MJF is basically working an old school style match, and it's kind of structured like an old school style match, but Kevin Knight is basically still gaining his athletic spots in. He goes for a UFO splash early, misses, so he's selling the ribs for the entire match, and MJF is working over the ribs the entire match. Kevin Knight, though, he's still doing some incredible spots. Like, I can only compare this to like The Undertaker, how he'd always do his over the top rope dive every year at WrestleMania in like the 2010s or pardon me, the 2000s. Kevin Knight does this, and he does a forearm to the outside to MJF. That looked really cool. MJF is in the Tree of Woe. Kevin Knight hits a coast to coast from the other corner, and then he goes for the UFO splash. And I thought this was a pretty clever spot. Kevin Knight's going for a splash, and he hits it, and then he's got the cover, but there's no ref. Because you can see at the same time, MJF kicks the ref into the ropes. And so the ref is not present to make the count. And I thought this is a good little music between the notes kind of a thing. Kevin Knight sees that the ref is out, but the ref is eventually going to come back to make the count. So Kevin Knight has one leg hooked. He gets both legs. He does an even deeper hook of the pin with the referee coming back, trying to really lean into it and get that 3 count. Of course, it doesn't. He goes for the UFO splash again after getting the visual pin. MJF gets the knees up. He hits the heat seeker pile driver in the ropes, gets the win. I thought this is a fantastic match. This is the best match of the week, quite frankly. Huge fan. Ace, our boy Kevin Knight, his stock's gone up. I know that it was unlikely that he was going to win to defend the championship against the Hangman and kind of retcon the last month or so of TV, but what'd you think of this performance?
Yeah, that was kind of my only gripe. I think I mentioned it last week too, where I just wouldn't have put it for the title. I would have just had it one-on-one. Let me get a good, uh, what do you call it? Like, let me get a good run against him and, maybe soften him up a bit come, for Revolution with the Hangman. So yeah, so my only gripe was the championship being on the line. That being said, the match was still fantastic. And yeah, I definitely see the stocks going up for Knight there too.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be his only newsworthy bit this week. So eventually, well, where do I start? So later on Dynamite, so about halfway through the show, the Hangman's in the match. He's basically squashing some local jobber in 6 seconds. Don Callis and his family come out and mentioned how the Hangman and Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, the current trios champions, they had mentioned before that they would defend their titles anywhere, anytime. Don Callis took this literally and said, I talked to Tony Khan, and this trios championship match is happening tonight. So it's Hangman and Speedball and Kevin Knight defending against Kazuchika Okada, Mark Davis, and Kyle Fletcher. I usually hate this where the main event is booked halfway through the show. I know we were used to it watching WWE back in the day where how the fuck do you not have a show planned? What do you mean? What would happen if this confrontation didn't happen? What was your show going to be? I know we were used to this, but honestly, if you don't do it often, I got a little soft spot for telling the story throughout the show. if you do this every now and then, I don't know. This is a nice little bit of nostalgia for me, Ace.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always, being a kid of the era I was, I usually prefer when it opens the main event. You're right though, because I'm thinking back to every example of that now. And I think the reason I gave it a pass when I was a kid, it would be like, like SmackDown's just kicking off, let's say, and then like Teddy Long sets up the tag team match during a brawl. I'm like, okay, recently actually where I got this t-shirt. I was in Montreal for Cena's last Canadian show too. Um, and exact same thing happened. He came out, he was yapping, Logan came in, okay, boom, tag match at the end. That I think I'm okay with, but you're right, once you get to like the halfway mark of the show where it's like, what was the plan otherwise if, so um but yeah, no, I honestly think, getting back to AEW, I think that the belts being off, especially off Hangman, is probably for the best going into this match with MJF come Revolution. So yeah, so I was personally I was a fan of the move. Plus, I think the Don Callis family having, I don't know if they're going to freebird it, but having that kind of championship, I think works really well for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And get into that match. So yeah, we got new trios champions, Mark Davis, Kazuchika Okada, and Kyle Fletcher defeat the Hangman, Speedball, and Kevin Knight. This is a great match. Here's the thing. There were a lot of critiques just about this. So this is a late show. It had a long overrun past the 2 hour mark. I think it started maybe right after 7 o'clock, wherever. There's a commercial break in the overrun. Ace, we have the jokes about, my steak is too juicy, my lobster is too buttery. I love all the great content, no matter what. That being said, I do have to concede on this critique. It's because the show is supposed to go 2 hours and this main event begins past the 2 hour mark. I'm expecting this match to wrap up ASAP because the show should be over. And so it goes to a commercial break. I'm like, okay, I can't even find a way to enjoy this match because I think it's going to end as I'm getting settled. But then after the commercial break, especially because they're having a TNT championship match this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite between Kyle Fletcher and Speedball. They had a low-key match of the year contender at the end of last year. And as soon as they're in, it's unbelievable stuff. But the whole notion of, I don't know, because like I don't want to be the one who's complaining about, this show's too long. It's much better when it's an hour and 90 minutes. But I don't know. If you have a structure, make sure that like if you're gonna have a 2.5 hour show, advertise as 2.5 hours. Don't advertise as 2 hours because I need to be prepared to lock in, or if I'm gonna be settled, that it's not just gonna have the rug pulled beneath me. I don't know where you stand on that, but I will concede to that one for all the folks who had that critique.
That and my DVR is also not a fan of the overrun either. And because, being who I am, most of what I watch is, obviously with WWE, it's all on Netflix. With AEW, it's a little more difficult. Collision, they're pretty good about ending on time. But like for instance, the uh last week with like Jungle Boy and FTR, that I had to watch on YouTube because again, it ended and I was like, shit, like the first minute or two, like, you know, Tarzan Boy was still, or Tarzan, whatever the fuck his song's called, was still playing when the feed cut. And I was like, fuck. So I had to, I think they uploaded it to YouTube, which was handy, but I had to watch the rest of it there. And it's like, so yeah, I'm a big component on no overrun just because, it's annoying. And personally, yeah, it just screws me sometimes.
I agree on that. I don't always want to record an extra half hour at the end. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, the match was killer. New Trios champions. I just want to quickly shout out Mark Davis. This guy's been through the ringer over the years. So he was part of like a great tag team, Aussie Open with Kyle Fletcher. He goes out with a back injury. And of course, Kyle Fletcher takes off and becomes better than I think anyone ever anticipated him to do. It's like, how you don't want people to lose their spot because of injury, but Kyle Fletcher is just so good. It's like, we just can't put this tag team back together. But Mark Davis finds a spot in the Dog and Callis family. He eventually does a good job having some solos matches. He's put in a new tag team with Jake Doyle, the former Jake something and TNA and Deadlock Pro Wrestling and the independent scene. Jake Doyle unfortunately goes out with an injury, so That's another chance for Mark Davis to potentially get lost in the fold, but he's in this trios championship match and he gets rewarded. So good for you, Mark, for going through the ringer there. I have a new admiration for that, especially as we heard Matt earlier in the show talk about his recovery process, recovering from a knee injury. I'm sure it hasn't been easy sailing for Mark Davis over the last couple of years. So it's good that you get rewarded with that determination. So shout out Mark Davis there.
Love seeing the good guys win.
Hell yeah, brother. And then last little bit of Kevin Knight lore. This is on Collision, though. So Kevin Knight and Speedball are backstage. Swerve Strickland, the recently turned heel Swerve Strickland, approaches Kevin and talks about being a killer to be successful. Here's the thing. So Kevin Knight took the pinfall in the Trios Championship match. There were critiques that he shouldn't have lost twice in one show. I'll push back and saying, okay, the Hangman's challenging for the championship at the pay-per-view. He should not be pinned. Speedball's again the TNT Championship match the week afterwards. He should not be pinned. But if you want to say, oh, that's booking that can be controlled, I think there's a greater plan at play here because I remember a couple months ago, Kevin Knight's asking Hangman for advice going into a match and doesn't really get it. So kind of planted a little seed there. Oh, maybe Kevin Knight will turn heel down the road. Swerve Strickland's basically recruiting, but not really recruiting Kevin Knight. So I think, I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much faith here, but I get the sense Kevin Knight may turn heel down the road. And if he turns heel, this could all be worth it. And it's also noted that he could be a player because Fightful Select report that he just recently re-signed with AEW. And so, hell yeah to that. He just turned 29. Has taken the most of his opportunity since coming to AEW just a little under a year ago. So, hell yeah, Kevin Knight. We'll see what the future has in store for you, but I think it's been a good first year for him so far. And with the youth on side and how good he is already at this age, I think he's got a chance, and hopefully he can become a main player in AEW going forward.
Yeah, I think I definitely think the news of the re-signing is is awesome. Especially, for a young kid. So yeah, and honestly, I think that the sky's the limit for his future, and we'll see where we go next with it.
Absolutely. Before it's good to wait for a wrestler to stand out. It's good to be extraordinary at one area as a way to stand out. Kevin Knight might just be the most athletic individual on the AEW roster. Like the hops he's able to get, like whether it's diving to the outside or his UFO splash or just some spots in the ring. We talk about how, the greatest athlete won't be the best wrestler and vice versa. It is great when those stars align, though, and a great athlete can be a great
Just
wrestler.
happens to be both, yeah.
Unbelievable. So speaking of Swerve, also on Dynamite, Brody King called out Swerve Strickland. Swerve comes out from behind, though, chokes him out with a chain. He's mocking Brody's hoo, 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 barking chants. Here's the thing about Swerve. As hard as it's going to be, they don't want us and the fans to cheer for Swerve, even though, because he is a heel, but he's cool, though. They took out the Whose House out of Swerve's entrance theme because they do not want people chanting Swerve's House. So they're going to try. I think it's a good start because folks like Brody Kane a lot right now. So there's going to be a lot of playing along to not cheer Swerve, but I don't know. Ace, are they going to find a way to make the Swerve hated? I feel like this is the biggest uphill battle they have. Like, he's just so cool. He's got to do all the dastardly stuff to be able to remain getting booed. But fans do love chanting and singing. So I think taking Who's House out of his theme song and there's no Swerve's House to follow, I think it's a good start.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's so hard nowadays because it's not like we don't see like the face, the heel, you know what I mean? There's always going to be that kind of shade of gray. And I think no matter what you do with Swerve, even as the bad guy, um, yeah, obviously people are still going to find him super cool because he is. Um, so I think I'm not against the move. And I don't think it's in the case, like I know people obviously like Swerve, but I don't think it's one of those like no, like with John Cena, where it was like, no, we want to cheer for Swerve. Where we saw that a lot obviously last year with the heel run, where half the fucking people kind of got screwed out of getting to say goodbye one more time. But I think with Swerve, we don't necessarily have that, like, because obviously he's really well liked, but it's not like, oh man, I really wanted to sing along with him. So I think it's a good move. And I'm really enjoying his work right now.
Yeah, God, let's hope Swerve doesn't go each and every one of you fans who never liked me when he's having his retirement tour. Hopefully they don't go that route.
When you burnt my house down, you all cheered. You all said, good. You all hate me. Yeah, no.
I'm gonna die.
I would have done numbers in 2008.
Unreal. All right, moving on. We can finally talk. Because we are going so long last week, I wanted to sneak this in then, but I thank God I had the patience because I had my own question answered. The Brawling Birds of Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor are taking on the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay, the former Iconics in WWE. They were just the TNA Women's Tag Team Champions as well just a few months ago. They were, well, here's the thing. Ace, what does AEW stand for?
Always everyone whining. I don't know. All Elite Wrestling.
Yes, thank you. Rhetorical question, but All Elite Wrestling. This company's identity is having the best wrestling on God's green earth, here, there, and the other thing. I love the Iconics with all my heart. I have a spot for the Iconics. It's not just because they have Aussie accents. I have a soft spot for the Iconics. I can't say they're good wrestlers, though. Not in that they are in like the bad spot or they can't be led to any spots or whatever. Their stuff just does not look good. And I think there's a standard in AEW. So they got recruited, they got poached from TNA as they were going on AMC in the United States. They're the tag team champions. They get signed by AEW. I'm like, what the heck are they doing? They get squashed. That's what they do. The Brawling Birds, it's a comedic squash, like maybe 2 minutes. So both the Inspirations are in the corner, like like I forget the order, but they're both just like back to back in the corner or like front to back in the corner. And so they chop one Iconic or one member of the Inspiration, and then she would dive down in front, and then they chop the one behind her, and they did this back and forth and back and forth. I was laughing. And then they hit dual lariats to both of them in the middle of the ring, basically squashing them. They hit the Inspiration with a heart attack where one of them takes the move and the other one squashes down and on the other. And so I was stunned to see the Inspiration were signed to be jobbers. I mean, they're entertaining jobbers if this is the role, but how'd you make it this signing? How do you make it this allocation of resources to have expensive jobbers by the looks of it?
I don't know if necessarily you could say a jobber for them. I could see comedy act maybe, which I mean they've always been. I don't know. I don't think every match necessarily needs to be ultra competitive, super, crazy.
Yes.
Sometimes the hits are just the hits. And I think they've got enough name value where someone tuning in might just be like, "Oh yeah, I can't even remember what Iconics." I was trying to remember what they were in WWE now.
Iconics.
But so yeah, so I don't know. I think that might be jumping the gun a little bit. And if anybody can take a loss like on their first night, it's going to be these two anyways. So yeah, I wouldn't sound the warning bells just yet, but
Fair play. Also want to note, fellow Aussie Harley Cameron sang their entrance theme, I noticed, which, hey, that's some good synergy right there. All right. And now this one, I think we can have a lot of fun with. At least I think I can have a lot of fun with this one. So Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin defeat Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. The story's not the match. It's a good match, just one scary spot. So Darby's a short king, as we like to call him. He's sat on the top rope. Gabe Kidd shoves him from behind to the outside. Darby lands, I swear, on a stack of Bibles on the back of his neck first into the apron. I thought he died. I screamed. But he survived. Orange and Darby eventually win. However, the story of this segment is the, as I drop my phone, the debut and eventual announced signing of David Finlay, the son of Fit Finlay of WCW and WWE fame. He hits Orange and Darby with his shillelagh. He joins his fellow New Japan Pro Wrestling War Dogs teammates, Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. They are then announced to be All Elite that they have signed. Ace, what'd you make of this? Because for months and months, it was rumored that David Finlay was WWE bound, and here he is All Elite. I was stunned when I saw this, and I think there's a lot more lore about, how NXT and WWE may pitch their free agents versus how AEW might. How'd you make of this?
Yeah, obviously, I wasn't in the conversation room the surrounding the contracts for the guys. But I don't know. I think it was one of those situations where being, New Japan, um, they can still kind of have the opportunity to work both. If they really want to do something, back on the island. And so yeah, I'm not sure. NXT can be limiting in that sense too, because obviously once you're in the WWE system, that's you. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for the kid no matter what. I wasn't really pulling for him one way or the other. I know obviously with some people they'll look at it more as a win or a loss, or it's either gonna be like, oh, it's the smartest thing he could have done, or oh, what a fucking idiot. He's but yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for the kid, and I think he ended up where he wanted to. So yeah, good for him. And yeah, it was pretty sick debut too. So
Yeah, really cool. And so I'd say he was probably David Finlay was probably like the most prestigious free agent going. Like, I mean, not that he was like he ever won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but he was a leader of like a notable stable. Like, he became the leader of the Bullet Club, and eventually, once there was like the civil war with like them and the House of Torture under the Bullet Club banner, he was leading the War Dogs. He was in high profile match. Technically, a very good wrestler, but it's not like a must grab. But it was interesting to see how it all unraveled, because I'm certain WWE thought that they were going to get this guy, because on NXT, there's a group called The Birthright. It's basically a nepotism group led by Lexus Kane, the son of Brian Pillman, and then there's Santino Morella's daughter, Ariana Grace, there. For some reason, Stax Lorenzo's there, but one of the characters there is Uriah Connors, but that is the brother of David Finlay and also the son of Fit Finlay. And they had this segment a couple weeks ago saying where Uriah Connor's like, let me contact my brother or something. So I think that they thought that they were going to get David Finlay. And during Finlay's last show in New Japan, I think it was the New Beginning early in February, he's in tears as he's leaving. And basically that means, yeah, this guy's gone and he's not coming back. And if you're going to WWE, they don't have a partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling, so he wouldn't go back with WWE. But then he does another show in the United States under the New Japan umbrella, and he doesn't appear sad this time. So it's like, okay, what's happening here? And so he's All Elite, and apparently WWE lowballed him. Like, they did not really wow him with offers to go to NXT. And it's interesting just because the whole idea of like, okay, what do folks really want now? Like, say you can always want to go to WWE because it's your dream, or you want a WrestleMania moment, or you just want to get paid. And David Finlay, I think he just had a kid within the last year or two. I think he just wanted to get paid. There have been issues with NXT's pay. I remember Jasmine Nix last year was prominently featured on TV as part of like the main heel faction, the women's division. She left voluntarily because she said, I think it was before she was making like $75,000 or whatever a year, and she was given another contract extension. There was no notable raise, so she left voluntarily. So, no, how do you? I always find these negotiations or these viewpoints fascinating, because are you going to offer them the equivalent of a pizza party, these free agents, to come over, or are you actually going to offer them money. And it's just interesting to see how in negotiations where these promoters' priorities are at, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I will never knock kids for getting money, and I think they should always be getting more considering how much these companies make regardless. So, yeah, I go where the highest bidder is, go where the money is. Yeah, I will never, an example, to take it into another sensitive subject for us with Bo Bichette. I will never knock a kid who, and fuck it, he did. He got way more money, I think, even than Vladdy's making now. Good. Fuck yeah. If you can go out and get it, fucking do it. Right on. These companies are fucking richer than God. They have, more money. And then they get us mad at them for saying, oh, this guy just wants the money. What a loser. He should be playing for the heart of it. No, those fucking owners are making more than enough. They can pay their fucking guys. So yeah, so to bring that back into to WWE there, I will never knock a kid for getting money.
Go get yours. Go get
Yeah,
yours.
100%.
That's what we live by. And here's the thing: I don't want to twerk for billionaires. I don't want to twerk for sports owners. Tony Khan, if there's any advantage right now, is that he comes from a sports background. His family owns the Jaguars. They're used to a 50-50 share of the revenue. Like WWE, I think it's the share between the company and the talent is like under 20% of WWE's revenue goes back to the wrestlers. And think of just how much highly paid, like say, like your Cody Rhodes and your Roman Reigns are compared to the folks down the lineup. It's bananas. And so AEW has competitive salaries because Tony Khan's used to 50-50 revenue sharing. So it's no biggie to offer folks competitive value. Like I remember there's 3 big free agents like in 2023 to 2024. It was Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada, and Mercedes Moné. And they apparently did not WWE did not view Mercedes Moné as someone who should make more money than a Charlotte Flair, for example. Or they thought that they could get Kazuchika Okada to sign by offering him a WrestleMania moment. Or AEW allowed Will Ospreay to still live in England, and WWE wanted him in the States. And then you have Triple H saying, some talents just want to run from the grind or whatever. So, no, some folks just want to have like a monopoly control on the payroll of what talent are given. And this is why it's good that there's competition, because overall, folks will be getting more money and they're the ones putting their bodies on the line. So, David Finlay, even if it'd be nice to be with his father, I'm not sure if Finlay's still with WWE or to be with his brother. I'm sure that'd be nice.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I was gonna say too, ironically enough, you talking about TK there, he'd fit perfectly into the birthright.
I don't think, God bless TK, I don't think he has got the promo chops for that one. I don't know if he's got the
and I think WWE would need to open the checkbook a little bit, a bit wider than
a little bit.
they probably
They thought, I don't know, Eric Bischoff ended his general manager reign as going into on Raw. His reign ended with him going in a garbage truck. I think Triple H would be way more vengeful to Tony Khan if he ever got the chance. So TK, stay away, stay away.
I don't know. Vince is pretty petty.
Vince is petty. I don't know. Triple H has come back for blood though.
You see, Vince, like, he's petty, but he also weirdly like had a respect. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting off topic here.
Everyone wants to suck a winner's cock.
That, and like, as much as he hated Bischoff, as much as he hated Heyman, as much he would have employed Ted Turner if he was looking for a job, just to say he did.
Fair.
So I will say that, I think Vince would probably be more likely to do ball than a Triple H would if there was a merger. But yeah, that's hearsay, and hopefully we'll never have to see that timeline or how it plays out.
Fingers crossed. Before we move on, I just want to add one more thing about this segment. This Gabe Kidd guy, he's the funniest fucker low-key in wrestling. So we talked about his match with Kenny Omega last year at the Tokyo Dome, how Kenny Omega is like the legend coming back to New Japan Pro Wrestling, but they were behind Gabe Kidd because Gabe Kidd identified himself as the one who's still with New Japan Pro Wrestling to this day. And the fans mid-match turned on Kenny and supported Gabe Kidd, and it felt like it made a star out of Gabe Kidd that night. And so, like 2 months afterwards, Gabe Kidd is doing this rah-rah promo where he's in front of the New Japan faithful saying, fuck AEW, fuck WWE, Shin Nihon Ishiban. Okay, so I can't pronounce Spanish words. I can't pronounce Japanese words either. But basically, he's in English, that translates to New Japan #1. So that's why he's saying, fuck AEW, fuck WWE, New Japan #1. Just a few months later, he's doing segments with the Death Riders in AEW, and the New Japan faithful turn on this guy in a snap because he's doing AEW segments. And just about 1 year after that promo, he is now All Elite. I just think that's the funniest fucking thing. It took a year. It's not like he did this for decades and he was punk rock and they turned on everything. It's just funny because this was a year, and the first opportunity he jumped on it. I can't help but laugh. So I don't know. I died.
Love us a bag chaser.
Oh my god! It's not like it's like if there's like a scale on like the funniest to non-funniest. Like okay, CM Punk, you could say okay, you're doing this for too long. Yeah, you're kind of a hypocrite. I think in the middle is like Matt Cardona. The bag chaser wanted to go back to WWE, but he talked about how much he loved the indies, but also how much he wanted to go back. And here's Gabe Kidd. He just takes it in 1 year, he just fuck AW, fuck WWE, Shin Nihon Ishiban, and I'm All Elite now, bruv. I don't know. I died. One last thing on AEW though. Busy week of wrestling. Tommaso Ciampa, our boy, he just arrived here and he turned heel on Wednesday. He has a segment coming out talking about he wants to go for the TNT Championship. FTR comes out saying, hey, if you want to be a top guy, join these top guys, alluding to their past in NXT where Ciampa and his partner Johnny Gargano had those great matches with FTR in NXT. Ciampa says, I didn't like you guys back then. No. So fast forward to Saturday's Collision. Mark Briscoe's doing guest commentary. It's Tommaso Ciampa against Daniel Garcia. And so Garcia like shoves Mark Briscoe in the announce table or whatever. Briscoe comes in. And so Ciampa, if I remember correctly, Ciampa accidentally almost crashes into Mark Briscoe on the apron. Daniel Garcia hits a roll up and he gets the win. I'm like, I can't remember the last time Daniel Garcia got a singles win on TV. Why did they beat Ciampa? Lord behold, Ciampa turns heel.
There's a method to the madness.
Yeah. And so the way this plays out, he's having like a shouting match with Mark Briscoe. He's going to the backstage area. Ciampa is. FTR comes out. And then FTR is trying to confront Tommaso Ciampa. Mark Briscoe comes to like be by Ciampa's side. Eventually they both leave. And Ciampa puts his arm around Mark Briscoe, and just like how he turned heel against Johnny Gargano nearly a decade ago, he shoves Mark Briscoe into the LED board. He takes his bandana, puts it in his tights to really wipe his ass with Mark Briscoe's bandana, throws it back in his face. And so on Wednesday's Dynamite, it's Tommaso Ciampa and FTR against the Young Bucks and Mark Briscoe. Tommaso Ciampa's a heel ace. I can't believe, I kind of respect it. I can't believe how quick it all happened.
Yeah, I think I saw this tweet. I forget who it was, so I can't credit him, but it said, man, TK sure did love his black and gold. So...
He loved it as much as Ring of Honor, clearly. Holy smokes.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I think it was kind of the best thing you could follow up with the loss for Tommaso. So yeah, I don't hate it. And I think he works better as a heel anyways. So
yeah, and I think anytime someone returns or debuts, there's always going to be that initial pop. Like, I don't think the fans will want to boo someone who's debuting or returning. It'll take maybe 4 weeks or 5 weeks. But yeah, I think enough time has passed, and he works better as a heel. Tommaso Ciampa, he's the psycho killer for a reason. I think this works out. What a fucking turnaround, though. Like, from Dynamite to Collision on that week, it's like, Tommaso Ciampa's like, I can't stand her bitch ass with FTR. And then she's like, me and the besties for life. I just couldn't get over it.
Life moves fast. Yeah.
Time zero marches forward. Any other AEW notes before we get to the card? We got predictions for AEW Revolution coming up here. Any final thoughts or anything else before we get our predictions and lay the table? Because next time we'll be here will be after AEW Revolution. Anything else you want to add before we move on to looking ahead to that card here real quick?
No, yeah, I think that puts a bow on it, and then we can look forward to seeing what we get for Revolution there.
Absolutely. So looks like a pretty good card. We got so here's the thing: we have a weeks of TV before this next pay-per-view event. So there could be more matches added, but the next time we will be here will be Sunday, March 15th, right after Revolution. So this is the card as it stands right now. So MJF is defending the AEW Men's World Championship against Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. If the Hangman loses, he'll never challenge for the AEW Men's World Championship ever again. Ace, this is the highest stakes match on the show. Is it the Hangman? Is he going to be Hangman Cody Rhodes? Or does MJF lose this championship already?
No, yeah, it has to be Hangman. In my humble opinion, you cannot handicap him and Cody him before. Yeah, it is like I said it last week too. It is a little different since he has won the title before, but do not book yourself into this mistake again. Learn from history. It's just not a good idea. I know MJF just recently won it, but if you're gonna run this, you have to have Hangman win it back. I'm sorry. You can't. I don't know. In my opinion, at least. I don't think Hangman can pull off being Cody'd. So
I agree. I think that's right. I'm going to go with MJF here because I think that might be a wrong Tony Khan will try to right, whereas Hangman will never challenge again. And I don't know why. I think it'll suck. I'm sure they'll do the thing where Hangman either goes back on his word and turns heel, or they'll say, oh, it's a technicality. He can never challenge, but he can still earn an opportunity. So I think that's what they'll try to do. I hope that's not the case. I hope the Hangman just wins and you don't have to handicap yourself in this matter or risk killing your gimmick. I just have a feeling that they're going to try and right a previous wrong. And I'm like, don't even try it. It's a wrong for a reason. You put yourself in this corner, let the Hangman win.
100%.
All right. So FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler are defending the AEW Men's World Tag Team Championships against Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. It's been a pretty fun build so far. It's not just, oh, I'm the best team. I'm the best team. It's like these guys hate each other. I'm looking forward to this. Ace, where do you think this is going to go?
It's one of those I feel like you can sort of flip a coin, which is nice because it could go either way. I'd probably give a slight edge to FTR. But I also wouldn't be disappointed to see the Young Bucks win it back here.
Yeah, FTR is an interesting one. I think they're going to win this match for a specific reason. When FTR won the tag team championships, I thought that nobody was necessarily clamoring for them because Bandito and Brody King were doing a pretty good job. But because AEW Dynasty is in Canada at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, and they've been off TV for so long now after winning at All Out Toronto, I think FTR retains these Men's World Tag Team Championships to defend against Adam Copeland and Christian Cage at AEW Dynasty in Vancouver, in Canada. I think FTR retains just to set that match up. Maybe Adam Copeland's done filming his movie or his TV show or whatever, but that's the reason I think that FTR will hang on to these belts, at least for a little bit, and then hopefully from there, he can finally get that Cope and Cage against Young Bucks match down the road. But I feel like they set the table for Cope and Cage to take those tag team titles from FTR, so I think they're hanging on to the titles just for that reason.
There would be no complaints from me for that. So,
we're gonna belt Etalingus like no tomorrow at Rogers Arena if we get the chance.
I can't wait. Actually, I'll finally get to cross. We don't know for sure, but I'd finally get to cross Edge off the old "Have I Seen Them" list. That'd be cool.
Hey, there you go. Oh my god, yeah. I guess like your first house show would have been after Edge had to retire the first time. Hey,
No, he was still going, but it was a Raw show. So, yeah.
Beans. What are you gonna
What
do?
are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So next up, no time limit match for the AW Continental Championship. John Moxley defending against Konosuke Takeshita. They had the time limit draw in Australia. They're having no time limit here. Ace, how do you see this going? I don't know who's going to be. I want to say maybe Konosuke Takeshita is the baby face in this match just because he was the baby face against Claudio Castagnoli on Collision. I have no idea who's supposed to be the good guy in this feud. How do you see this match going?
I think I give a slight edge to Mox. Just because I don't know if they're necessarily done with this title reign yet. So yeah, so I'm gonna say Mox.
Fair play. It's quite frankly a coin toss for me. I think Takeshita is going to win this because I think there's a story they're trying to tell involving Kazuchika Okada and Kyle Fletcher. It's basically Kazuchika Okada is playing a home wrecker in the Don Callis family, trying to break up Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita's bond, saying, "We're champions, unlike Takeshita, and Takeshita won't win a belt." So I think there's something they could do here where Konosuke Takeshita is a Continental champion. And you know what? Kyle Fletcher will probably have the TNT championship. Kazuchika Okada will probably have the International Championship. There's too many fucking belts in this promotion, quite frankly. But I see to ultimately lead off to the big blow off of Takeshita maybe breaking free from the Don Callis family vortex, that he'll win a championship, and that'll eventually be the smoking gun to ultimately lead up to this breakup and hopefully have a good blow off match with between Okada and Takeshita.
I know.
And moving on with speaking of the Don Callis family, Andrade El Idolo taking on Bandito in what's just a strong lucha banner that should be taking place. Yeah, I think this should be fun. Who do you got?
This would be a good one. And yeah, I feel like you've really got to capitalize on the recent success and have Andrade win this.
Yeah, I think Bandito can eat a loss a little bit better than
Yeah.
Andrade at this point. It's interesting though because like Bandito's still the Ring of Honor Men's World Champion. They have not had Bandito carrying that belt recently on AEW TV, so that's interesting to say the very least. But yeah, I think Andrade they'll just strike while the iron's hot. I feel bad for Bandito because he's incredible, but I think at this point, Andrade, he's still so new back in the promotion. I think he needs to be protected a little bit more. I think the fans will just love Bandito regardless, and I think he can eat a loss a little bit easier right now.
Totally, yeah.
Moving on, talk about a match. This is a tough one. Talking about like trying to keep momentum going and who can eat a loss right now. Brody King and Swerve Strickland. No gimmick right now. I'm sure there may be another match down the road, but we talk about the momentum. Maybe that's still with Brody King, but Swerve Strickland had just turned heel. Ace, how do you see this one evolving?
Yeah. Sorry, my cat was kind of freaking out there.
Fuck you, Lita.
Fuck
you, Lita.
Right?
What?
Yeah, no, I think it is a tough one because I do want to see Brody have something of a little bit more substance. But I don't think you can have Swerve lose. And unfortunately, I think that means that Brody might have to take another loss here. I don't. It's not super ideal just because he had just lost to MJF. Um, so maybe there's some shenanigans. But yeah, I see Swerve winning this one.
Yeah, I agree. It sucks to be Brody. Hopefully, I don't know, you just gotta hope and pray that the fans are still behind him and there's still some momentum after this. But they've set up Swerve to take on Kenny Omega at some point because Swerve put Kenny on the shelf, and I'm sure that they want to have this match on pay-per-view, but Kenny Omega's got the commitment at the Capcom Cup in Japan. So I'm sure maybe there's Kenny and Swerve down the road, or say if the Hangman wins the AW Men's World Championship, maybe Swerve's got a case to challenge the Hangman. Maybe at Dynasty in Vancouver. TK, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, no, feels like a tough one for Brody, but I think Swerve's got a. It seems like he's lined to win this one, but hopefully,
I think
down the
Brody
road,
just benefits being in the match too. So
yeah,
you know.
hopefully he gets this one match, and then hopefully he gets a big win down the road. 2 out of 3 falls match for the AW men. Pardon me, for the AW Women's World Championship. Tekla defending against Chris Statlander. They've both had one win against one another. Of course, Tekla got the most recent one to become the Women's World Champion. I gotta go. I think she'll win. I hope she wins. I want Tekla to remain the world AW Women's World Champion for the rest of time. So funny, so charismatic. She almost got herself over on Saturday's Collision by saying, "You can kiss my toxic ass," and the fans chant "toxic ass." And then they whatted her the rest of her promo. Also, if you still what people in the big 2026 at wrestling shows, walk into traffic. Just leave that in the 2001. I don't know. But Tekla, I think she wins. And I think she needs to win this 2 out of 3 falls match against Chris Statlander. Ace, what says you?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed when it was running back a rematch against Statlander. Um, just because, yeah, I don't obviously I don't see her winning it back. I've got Tekla, but yeah, I don't know. I was a little disappointed that this was just following up the strap, and yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be good, but yeah, I don't know. I'm ready to move on personally.
Likewise. Another women's match. This was just added recently. Timeless Tony Storm taking on Marina Shafir. Everyone is banned from ringside. I think it's still got to be Tony Storm. Because here's the thing, this will be Marina's biggest match of her career on this stage. It would make sense to elevate her. I just don't think she's that ready to be presented as a single stars in this case. I predict Tony. I hope it's Tony. I could see him going the other way with shenanigans, but I gotta go with Tony Storm because I think it's just the most logistical, because you can always have Tony challenge Tekla soon for the Women's World Championship, and I think Marina needs a little bit more seasoning as a single star, so I'm gonna go Tony Storm on this one.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat there. I think Tony needs this victory too, so yeah, I don't see Marina winning it.
And for the AW World Trios Championship, the new champions, the Don Callis family, Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis. We talked about the potential of maybe they'll have Freebird rules where any member of the Don Callis family can be in to defend these belts. But it is Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Davis on this show with their defending against 2/3 of the former champions, Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. But because the Hangman's in the main event, they found a new tag team partner, Mystico, our boy, the reigning, defending Wrestling Observer Newsletter Wrestler of the Year from CMLL in Los Angeles. He's teaming up with Jet Speed to take on the Don Callis family. I don't think they have a hope in hell. I think the Don Callis family keeps these belts, but I'm thrilled. Mystico in a trios match, his forte on pay-per-view. I think this fucking rules. They'll give us a banger. Don Callis family in 3.
Yeah, no, they're we'll get a good show out of it for sure, but I don't see the titles leaving the fam.
And on the pre-show, I think it's a 1-hour pre-show this go around. There's a 21-man blackjack battle royal for the AW National Championship. Ricochet defending against 20 other blokes. Are you taking the Field or Ricochet? We don't even know who the fuck is in this match.
Yeah, maybe Jungle Boy's in it, I'm guessing.
I'd imagine so. It's
like he wins it and then we get a feud for the two of them for a bit, or
maybe. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying Ricochet is Tiger Woods, but this kind of feels like back in Tiger Woods' prime. It's like, are you betting the Field to win this golf championship, or are you betting on Tiger Woods? I don't know who the Field is, though, so I got to bet Ricochet until proven otherwise. So he's my prediction right now. And I'm so excited for this one, quite frankly. I don't know if this is on the pre-show or the actual pay-per-view match, but representing the Costco Guys, Big Boom AJ is bringing 5 big booms, saying that he's going to have a match at Revolution. We don't know who, but
this ironically enough for this match, I am betting the Field. So,
It might be time. I don't know, because like I think we need to take some time to at least give Big Boom AJ his roses. I mean,
oh no.
uh here's the thing. So I saw like the Costco guys, they're clearly well past their peak. It's indisputable. I saw one very sad tweet that said, well, basically that shared their latest video that didn't get a lot of views. It's weird, like they have millions and millions of subscribers, but like no traction now. But someone said the color's gone from their eyes, or like the light's gone from their eyes. They're so soulless doing it. And it's like they can't go back. They'll always be the Costco guys. They can never go back to regular life. And I feel bad. So I'm like, okay, I want to give credit to Big Boom AJ because I think the point of the tweet was they looked at like the Google search analytics from now and over time. The Costco guys' searches on Google right now match to like right before they started to gain traction. So they're right back to where they began, it feels like, but they just have millions of followers. But it wasn't too long ago where in 2024, AEW's popularity and perception was near its all-time low in late 2024. And this is right when the Costco guys are at the peak of their popularity. And this Big Boom AJ, who was a former independent wrestler on the indies, he's, QT Marshall, who did the New Jersey independent scene with Big Boom AJ, reached out. Big Boom AJ, at the height of his popularity, comes to wrestle for AEW. And at a pay-per-view at Full Gear in New Jersey, probably had the most heat of any match on that show. He did that at the peak of his popularity where he didn't have to. And I think he just deserves his roses for that. And now AEW is doing a little bit better. The Costco guys have never been as unpopular as they've been since they've made it. But you know what? AEW, and you know what? I'm happy that they're not treating their partner like they just sucked all the value out of them and just threw them to the side. I'm happy that there's still a spot for Big Boom AJ on some of these shows.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of those celebrity involvements where it takes away, and it's on a pre-show, so who fucking cares? Like really fun. They're always fun.
Yeah, and Big Boom AJ, not gonna lie, probably the best right hand in wrestling. Probably throws the best
Right?
jabs
Yeah.
in wrestling, quite frankly. And here's the thing, he gets it. Like, I don't know how he got it, but like a good marketing guy deep down, like every promo, he'd mentioned the date, he'd mentioned the venue, he'd mentioned the city, he'd mentioned the show. He got all the points across.
Well,
And
he was
had
a carny. Yeah.
He's he is a worker, brother.
He's a worker.
He's Papa Maverick on steroids. Not like
Yeah,
physically, but like the idea of him just being a worker. I
100%.
love the idea that like he got over as being the Costco guy just so he could be a wrestler. I do love that idea,
Yeah.
but props to Big Boom AJ. I don't know who he'll face. I don't know. I'm happy that there's still a spot for him. I'm happy that just because he's not his lowest popularity, maybe the light's gone from his eyes doing this Costco guys gimmick, there's still a room for you in this silly business. And hopefully he can find popularity again soon. I felt like the most hip I felt with the kids was I knew of the Costco guys when they were at their peak. I remember one of our buddies, his nephews, he was like playing hockey or so in the living room, and I had like a black cap similar to this on, but like front facing. And I say, I give that 5 big booms. And I was royalty in this kid's eyes by just knowing who the Costco guys were. I was called AJ for the rest of the night. And I was asked, where do you get this on the boom meter? So I don't know. I never got annoyed by them. I have a soft spot for the Costco guys. Maybe that's just me though. So hell yeah to Big Boom AJ. Speaking of which, Ace, you got a week left of your play production.
We
Are we giving it 5 big booms so far, or
I'm giving it 7.5 stars out of 5.
on the Meltzer scale, or
Oh yeah. No, also I don't know if we've mentioned this yet before, but this is very off topic. I just sparked my memory when I was thinking of it. But I loved the tweet that said, "What if the scale's always been at a 10 and Meltzer just really hates wrestling?" That's I
I love it.
think my favorite tweet of all time. But yeah, we still have 1 week. does get 5 big booms because there's still 5 chances to come see us. We run Wednesday to Saturday, and Thursday we have a matinee. So I'm probably going to jump into hibernation mode, try to do a little homework, and get back to it Wednesday.
Hell yeah to that. And yeah, I didn't anticipate to go this long the pod this week, but you know what? And Matt Maverick has given us such good insight and information and just being a pleasure to be around. Sometimes you just gotta go a little bit overtime. So again, we'll try and keep it shorter the next go round, or it'll just be as long as it needs to be, I suppose. But next time we'll be here will be Sunday, March 15th, right after AEW Revolution. The pay-per-view should wrap up hopefully at 9 o'clock or so. I don't know. I'd be okay with not having a show going to 10 on that night with work the following morning. But yeah. So AEW Revolution on Sunday, March 15th. We'll be here right after that. Thrash Wrestling's in Kamloops the night before on Moccasin Square Gardens on the Kamloops Reserve. So we'll have a little bit of a report from that show as well. Other than that, Ace, you gotta sleep, you gotta hibernate, you gotta get through this last week of your play, and then we'll just get a play in general when it comes to wrestling, because we're about a month away from AEW Dynasty as well. You got a pair of indie shows at the end of the month too with VIPW.
We do.
There's always something, as
there is always something.
Yep. But until then, that something can wait for later. In the meantime, thanks again to Matt Maverick for appearing on the show, the first guest in the history of Cup Check Wrestling. Hopefully we'll have more fun guests down the road. Until then, I'm Aaron Schultz. He's Corey Ace Trelaw. This is Cup Check Wrestling, where the big boys play with each other.